hit start already.
Welcome to the Redeye stream number 177. Some news and a little bit of bullshit. But as we get started, I just have to say, 6 straight years, buddy. 6 straight years NL West champions. Dodgers just won 5-2. Wonderful fucking game. That's why we're late. Anyway, how are you doing tonight, Sherardi?
I feel like hell. And
okay, well, that's
sucks.
pleasant. Baseball does not suck. You've been talking to Cabby too much, all right?
Don't say his name.
Cabby. Anyway, memes, how are you doing? And how about those Red Sox? They're in the playoffs, aren't they?
We cinched it up a while ago. Don't say his name. You'll encourage him.
And MC's already presenting a news story, so I'm going to have him presented to everybody. But MC, yeah, we all know the Diamondbacks suck. I just made fun of you for it. I'll leave it alone right now. How are you doing tonight?
I'm alive.
Unlike, it looks like somebody there. Oh, shit. Damn. That's actually
unlike.
And Cabby says, fuck you, Mad.
Of course he does.
Yeah. Oh, go play some cricket.
Well, that's a factual statement. So what we got, MC?
Well, this is the first story I wanted to talk about today. And it is a 2-year-old boy is among 3 dead after a mysterious car explosion this weekend in Allentown, Pennsylvania, authorities said. One of the adults is expected to have triggered it. Jonathan Schomer? Schomer? Is that how you say it? And his father, Jacob Schomer, 27. All right, Jacob Schomer's friend, David Howman, 66. All of Allentown were the victims of Saturday night's blast, Lee County Coroner Scott Grimm said in a news conference on Monday. All 3 died from a traumatic injuries caused by the explosion. The Lee County District Attorney said Sunday that the suspect was likely among those killed. Authorities are confident the adults were friends and were looking into why they had met at night. Special agent in charge, Don Robson of the ATF, said on Monday, we can safely say this is an isolated incident. We have preliminary information on the circumstances, although he would not elaborate. We're not prepared. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask if they were driving a Ford, but it's hard to make a joke when a 2-year-old died, so that's probably a little mean.
Take a look at the damage.
Not cool. Don't mess with.
Look at the damage to this car.
Kids died.
This was a big explosion. Okay, I mean, this was not something this wasn't a car fire where the car just exploded because the gasoline caught on fire. This was a major device.
This was a car bomb.
Yes. Well, there was a bomb in the car. I don't know if it was a car bomb per se.
Well, that's what it... Yeah.
I mean, you can look at the destruction in this thing. I mean, it's just...
No, dude, that's like a full-on like IED or maybe professional grade or something like that. So, I mean, what time did this happen again, MC?
Let me look up. It was on Sunday. They didn't say the exact time. They said, I don't think. Hold on a second.
Where was the location again?
This was in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, jeez. That's... No, I'm just trying to see, like, was it during like school hours? Was the kid getting home from school? Was he just out playing?
This was on Sunday, so it wasn't a school hour thing.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a 2-year-old for crying out loud.
Yeah, well, no. The police wouldn't specify anything. I'm wondering if this was a hit. Maybe it was a car bomb. I mean, I'm not going to go directly to the IRA connection here, but because I'm trying not to joke about this. But yeah, maybe the father and his father pissed somebody off, and it was payback. Maybe they were into some shady deals. Maybe it was a Mexican mafia. I mean, a lot of different things. But this is Pennsylvania, not California, so the Mexican mafia is probably a little less likely. Is there an MC presence in Pennsylvania?
No, there's not an MC presence in Pennsylvania.
Not you, motorcycle club, buddy.
Okay.
Oh, were you trolling MC? You're adorable.
It was very successful, I might add.
No, there's
no,
an MC presence in my area.
The
Gotta watch out for rocks.
the explosion on something like that. I mean, it's pretty devastating. So it had to have been an explosive device of some sort. Whether or not these are just some yahoos that are building bombs to go out and blow up at night, or film themselves doing YouTube channels blowing shit up, or if this was had more nefarious purposes behind it. I mean,
yeah, but if they were carrying it themselves, as in they created said device, why the fuck would you have your 2-year-old in the car?
Well, because people are stupid.
Oh, he was in the car.
Yeah.
Were they like carrying fireworks and like smoking a butter?
Wrong.
Like
that is not fireworks.
it doesn't.
What's left of
like
that car
fire.
is not because
It's
of fireworks.
fucking wrong, is what it is.
Well, yeah, I'm
Plain
just
and
wondering.
simple.
Yes, but we're doing commentary on the story, and we're trying to speculate how the bomb got in said car.
Because they're fucking morons.
Who says
I find
they
it hard
did
to
it?
argue with that point.
I don't think they did it. I mean, there's a lot of places in a car where you can hide shit. You can remove the seat. You can put a device under the seat. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, especially if it was somebody that you knew that actually planned and said device, which when you fuck around with certain gangs and certain organizations that don't exist, it's usually someone you know that kills you, right?
Well, I mean, it could be that he was visiting somebody, was meeting them, and that the guy was trying to plant the device in his car while he was there, and it detonated. I mean, it could be. There's so. I mean, everything is speculation here, but it does look as if the ATF at least has an idea of why this happened, and the fact that they're not telling us that it was these idiots doing it for just being idiots makes me think that there's a wider conspiracy.
They're following the lead, probably.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Like I said, I think it was planted by someone. I don't see anybody making a homemade explosive to go blow up a boulder, like Mundane Matt, and taking their 2-year-old with them. You know what I mean? I don't think this was them.
I think that's possible. I don't think that's the case here because, like I said, only because of how the ATF is approaching it, appears to be approaching it.
Yeah, they're following some kind of lead. You're right. I don't know. It's hard to speculate, especially when a child was killed, and we tend to be assholes on this channel, so we might want to move on.
It could also be that they're just trying to find out how they got a hold of the explosives, because obviously this is not something you go to your local hardware store and pick up. This isn't even something where you go to the gun shop and you buy smokeless powder. This is far more devastating device than that.
Someone built an IED and a kid's dead. That's what seems to have happened.
Yep. Well, so for the only question is were they trying to kill one of the people in it, or what? I can't see that they were trying to target the 2-year-old.
Well, obviously not. That would be poor timing. If you were trying to do a hit on somebody, you usually don't target women or children. Usually, some people are pretty heartless, though.
Oh, there are people that directly go after women and children.
Yeah, they're called serial killers, but yeah, not usually hitmen, which is what I think this is probably. Is they were into some deals with some shady people, and they had a hit out on them. But Joshua asks, what type of bomb was it? It doesn't specify, I don't believe, right, MC?
No, they didn't specify what type of device it was.
But we don't even need to pull up another story because we gotta fucking address the giant elephant in the room because everybody in the whole goddamn news cycle is we're we're talking about Kavanaugh. Okay. Joe Napolitano said earlier today that if they actually find out that he was a heavy drinker, then he lied under oath in Congress. He will go to prison and definitely not be confirmed. That being said, what is a heavy drinker? MC, you and I were having this conversation in Discord. Go on your little rant about that, because I think you brought up some good fucking points.
Well, when you use a term like heavy drinker, I guarantee you guys that my understanding of what a heavy drinker is, coming from the military, okay, versus what you guys probably think of as a heavy drinker or a regular civilian thinks of a heavy drinker, are probably two different things. Okay, because if you're not getting drunk every night, you're not a heavy drinker. The way the military,
that seems often like average. I had some of my friends that were in the Marine Corps. They'd be out all night, and then they just report to like their 5 a.m. PT, and then they go run 5-10 miles.
Yep. And there are people. I mean, drinking is part of the culture in the military, or at least was when I was in. All right, and when I'm talking drinking, I'm talking like you just said. Every frickin' night they would go out and get hammered. All right. Sometimes they would sit up there and get only 4 hours of sleep. You'd get in the PT in the morning. They'd start running, and you could smell it coming out of their sweat.
Yep.
You're running in formation. Okay.
I've seen civilians do that. They come home from work. They drink until they fall asleep. They wake up early in the next morning, go to work, still stone drunk, come home and do it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously what a heavy drinker is. But if somebody goes out every Friday night and parties, is that a heavy drinker? Not in the military.
What if they only have a couple beers, but they do it on a regular basis? Is that a heavy drinker? I mean, there's a lot of different things.
I would say no, but I know that there are people that would say yes.
I believe the context that his friend, sorry to cut you off, MC, I believe the context that his high school frat brother, roommate, or something or other was saying that basically he was insinuating he was less intoxicated more often than he was leading on, basically saying he would drink in what he would deem excess, and that was the thing, although I believe he also said he'd never witnessed any such aggressive behavior.
Well, he said that he was mean, or maybe he drank.
Did he get into a fight or something?
He said he never saw him pass out or anything or blacked out. He doesn't believe Kavanaugh when he says that he did black out, but he's never witnessed anything.
Oh, okay. So
then why wouldn't you believe your friend then if you haven't witnessed it? I mean, blacking out is a totally different thing. Like, you could tell when someone's blacked out.
Because your political leanings are different than what your quote-unquote friends are.
I was about to ask MC, did this particular gentleman who was saying such things, did he fall into a particular alignment, shall we say?
I suspect that the answer to that is yes.
Just because, I mean, this is one of those things that really seems to really be cutting down political lines, and
the reason I said that is not just because of that. That is part of the reason, but the other reason I said that was simply because they didn't tell you what political affiliation he was, and if he was a Republican, a registered Republican, it would have been all over the news because they want to do whatever they can to damage Kavanaugh. So if CNN, where I read it at was on CNN, and if CNN had somebody that said that they were a Republican and this is what they witnessed and they were doing it, CNN would have said this Republican did this. They may give his name at the very end, but they would start with the fact Republicans are saying that he was drinking.
Well, no, real quick, looking at the chat, there's a couple good statements here. The Shepherd historian says this country is turning into the radio commercials you would hear on GTA radio stations. Clown world. I lost it when they asked Kavanaugh about him farting. Yeah, seriously, you have a fucking point, dude. And Dade is in the chat. What's up, Dade? He says if a man and woman got drunk and have sex, he raped her. Therefore, since women cannot be trusted to handle their alcohol, they must be barred from drinking. Well, I don't know.
Excuse me, I can handle my alcohol.
Is that so? That's not a valid argument, Shirley.
Well, it's not like some folks get violent when they're drunk.
You can bite me. I can handle my alcohol.
And of course, Tiger Lily's in the chat. How are you doing, Tiger? I already, talked in the side chat at you, but I figured I'd mention your name on air.
No, but the thing is with all of this, this is what it's been going to for a while now. It amazes me that people are surprised at this. It really does. What were they expecting the Dems to do? I mean, one of the other things that I mean, of course, Styx Hexenhammer made a comment on this today, right? And I encourage everybody, if they enjoy his kind of commentary, to go listen to it, right? Try him out, see if he's your cup of tea. Some people don't like him because of his delivery; they find it very dry. Other people, I don't find his delivery dry.
They dislike the shirtlessness.
Okay, if you dislike his shirtlessness, I don't.
Just
I mean,
listen.
if that bothers you a whole lot, I'm sorry that it bothers you. It doesn't bother me that he's shirtless, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah, but you don't ask and don't tell, right? You were in the military. Anyway,
he wears shirts. He wears Hawaiian shirts.
Sorry, MC. I had to throw a little jab there, buddy. I'm actually in a good mood now. Fucking Dodgers. Hell yeah. 6 years in a row. Anyway.
Oh,
but
shut up.
One of the things that he was saying that Styx was saying that I totally disagree with is that their goal is just to delay this. No, it's not. Their goal is to derail and make sure that Kavanaugh doesn't get confirmed. And they don't care how they do it or how they go about it.
Yeah, but do you want the FBI going through your shit? Do you want them digging through your fridge to see if you have a 6-pack of beer? This shit is getting goddamn ridiculous. And go ahead, Shardy. Sorry.
No, like I said, their goal is simply to attack. That's all it ever has been.
Well, it worked for Iron Man.
Am I talking about Iron Man?
I don't know. Is Judge Kavanaugh Iron Man? Or the Democrats?
What is Kavanaugh Iron Man? We have a new conspiracy, folks.
Jesus.
And
we're not talking
we don't call Dade. We call him Zero Cool. It's his favorite name.
Oh, you just angered him so much.
God damn it. No, but MC, you were on a roll there. It's just answer my question. Do you want the FBI going through your paperwork? Do you want them going through your receipts to see how much beer you buy? Do you want them looking in your fridge or your liquor cabinet? Well, what the fuck is going on?
There was a I'm trying to think of the name of the guy I watched who was talking about the different types of investigations, and he's correct about this. The investigation that they're doing in the Kavanaugh is an investigation along the lines of a background investigation for whether or not you're going to get a clearance. And what they're looking for is they're just trying to gather up any kind of information of what people think of you to see if there's anything that possibly could impact your career. All right, it's not a criminal investigation. They don't have subpoena powers. So if somebody doesn't want to give them any paperwork, all right, they have no warrant because this isn't a criminal investigation. They have no warrant to go in there and subpoena it. This is one of the things that I'm seeing constantly in some of these chats where people are going, well, the accuser, this Blasey Ford, she wouldn't release her medical records, all right, from the therapist, right? She didn't want her therapist's note read, right? And they were like, well, why don't they just, go in there and subpoena him? I mean, you could ignore the FBI request. Well, yeah, you can ignore an FBI request for any kind of evidence unless they have a warrant. And if they have a warrant, they're not requesting, they are ordering you to give them information.
Well, that still falls under HIPAA, I believe.
Even if it's under HIPAA, they can still get it.
Oh,
that has, believe it or not, if they have a warrant, HIPAA doesn't apply. Okay? They have to get a warrant for HIPAA, all right?
That's a big warrant.
In regards to the therapist turning it over, she's liable for HIPAA. Yes. All right. She can't just say, okay, well, they requested it, so I handed this over. She could be liable for handing over medical records at that point. But the FBI, I mean, if they want to see your records, whether they're medical or not, all they have to do is get a warrant. And it doesn't matter what HIPAA says, HIPAA doesn't apply in that case. Okay. So in this case, they're not doing a criminal investigation. There's not a crime that they can say that they're investigating here, right? Mainly because is there a federal statute that says sexual harassment is illegal? All right, a direct federal statute, because if there isn't, All right, and they're saying, and it's not defined in this case. Okay, they have no grounds to do a criminal investigation, even if they so desired to do it. Okay, so this isn't that type of investigation. They're going to go in there. They're going to ask people to come forward and talk to them, and then they're going to write down what the person tells them, and they're going to stick it in a file, and they're going to walk over and go, "Here's the file," and they're going to walk away again.
But what if folks were to lie to the FBI, MC?
Well, no, and there is a crime though. Lying under oath is a crime.
Oh, we put Martha Stewart in jail for that. That's right.
We put Martha Stewart in jail for because they were doing a criminal investigation, and they had subpoenaed records. Okay, and in the records it proved that she had tried to destroy evidence. That's why Martha Stewart went to jail.
Okay, fair enough. Let's look at the chat here. Joshua says he wants Deadpool as our Attorney General. That'd be much better than the fucking Keebler elf we already have.
Oh God. Well, but we already have President Trump, and he is always breaking the fourth wall anyway.
I fucking hate that Keebler elf, Jeff Sessions. I'm sorry, I fucking can't stand him.
MC, I think would disagree with you. I do kind of hinge on MC's plan, because every time the president goes out there and says something bombastic on the Twitters, like all of a sudden it's like, what's going on in the background? And there's some stuff going on in the background.
You know what? You mentioned Twitter. I wonder how many times President Trump has gotten the 12-hour ban on Twitter. I'm just curious.
Think of it like this: what's happening on Thursday?
What's Taco? No, it's Taco Tuesday. What's Thursday?
Oh, Rod Rosenstein, right?
Yes.
Again, unless he delays it again.
I don't think he's going to delay it again.
I don't think so, because it's going to be right before Friday. And
I think that this is, if he fires Rod Rosenstein, this Trump this whole thing about the vote on Friday is going to be absolutely immaterial. It's going to be background news.
Okay, so the vote is on Friday, though, because we were just talking about Kavanaugh, and we'll talk about Rosenstein.
Well, it's scheduled for Friday right now, yes.
Okay, does Donald Trump have the votes necessary to get him confirmed?
Assuming that, from what I've seen so far, unless something devastating comes out, which to be honest, I don't see that happening. I do see another person making a wild accusation at the last minute again, all right, and trying to throw it out there to try and derail it. But I don't think it's going to work again. I think he's got the votes ready.
Oh, like an accusation, like, fucking Kavanaugh touched my butt once in college? I mean, what the fuck else petty thing can they really say? They already asked him about farting, for God's sake.
Well, what the Democrats are going to say is they're going to...
you read that PDF file that Voice put in your Discord earlier today, Dodge?
Where did
Dude,
he put it?
I have been watching baseball all day. All right?
It was all about the Kavanaugh trial.
There was 2 tie-breaking games, and that hasn't happened in years. I've been watching baseball.
Where did he put it?
In general chat.
Hey, in order to run a top-level alternative news program, MD just gave you the formula right there.
Yeah, watch baseball all day. That's exactly how you do it. It works. Maybe I should go into sports talk. Anyway.
Right. Well, no, I agree with you. It's not a trial. Right. The Senate confirmation is not a trial, especially not a prosecution. The chairman made the following statement on the 25th. As I said, I'm committed to providing a forum for both Ford and Kavanaugh on Thursday that is safe, comfortable, and dignified. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. It isn't a trial. You're correct. It's not. This is not a public trial. Now, that doesn't mean, however,
and I just sent you the PDF.
That doesn't mean that it's not a that
it's an inquisition is what it is. Why don't they just tie them up to the post outside and light them on fire?
But if they're under oath, you can't lie to Congress. They can charge you, and they can refer you to charges if you've lied under oath to Congress.
Well, yeah, but like I said, this is an inquisition. I mean, they might as well burn the man alive. I'm looking at the chat again. Hammered Spud, what's up, buddy? Quit watching Rounders, Mad. Be more productive, dude. The playoffs are this month. That's not going to happen anytime soon.
That's all
Talk to
right.
me in November.
The Dodgers will be out soon enough, so he'll be able to refocus.
Oh, it's like that, huh, memes?
Ford's
I do not
explanation
know
of
this.
why she disclosed her allegations the way she did raises questions. She originally claimed that she wished for her story to remain confidential, but the person operating the tip line at the Washington Post was the first person other than her therapist or husband to whom she disclosed the identity of the alleged attacker. She testified.
She couldn't even keep her story straight.
Yes, she testified that she had a sense of urgency to relay the information to the Senate and the president. She did not contact the Senate, however, because she claims that she did not know how to do that. Now, I'm sorry, that's nonsense. Okay, that to me is just that statement there. This woman has a PhD and doesn't know how to sit there and contact Congress, doesn't know how to walk onto a computer and look up, how do I talk to my senator? How do I contact my my representative? Come on.
She wrote a letter.
No, and if this event was so bad that she suppressed it in her own fucking mind, what did she have a PhD in again?
She's psychology.
Yeah. Oh, that's curious, isn't it? Interesting that her whole excuse is a psychological one when the bitch has a PhD in psychology. I would just like to bring that evidence forward. Mad Dodge's evidence fucking packet A. This bitch is lying. This bitch knows that she didn't suppress any memories.
Right. Now, there is a statement here that I disagree with quite a bit. Okay, and that is this one right here. Dr. Ford could not remember if she was being audio or video recorded when she took the polygraph, and she could not remember if the polygraph occurred on the same day as her grandmother's funeral or the day after her grandmother's funeral. It would have been inappropriate to administer a polygraph to someone who is grieving. While, yes, it is inappropriate to do a polygraph when someone's grieving, not inappropriate in that it's wrong to do the polygraph, because we got some kind of social stigma to do a polygraph. No, doing a polygraph when somebody's emotionally upset, all right, can lead to a lot of false negatives, and it could make the polygraph, to be honest, unreadable. And an unreadable polygraph, by definition, is going to be considered passing the polygraph. That's generally what they would say. Now, in this case, however, it's the death of her grandmother. We don't know how much time has elapsed, number one. Number two is, okay, her grandmother could have been sick and probably was, all right, sick for a long, long time. Her death and her passing, the grieving that she did probably could have very well been over with long before she got to the funeral.
Well, real quick, though, Hammered Spud brought up the point I was just about to bring up, but I'm going to give him credit because he wrote it before I could actually say it. Hammered Spud says...
Thank you, Sherardi, for giving us this PDF, by the way.
I thought polygraph tests were useless in court, and that's right. They are. You know why? Because you can't really necessarily confirm that they're telling you anything. You could be stressed out over the fact you're taking the damn lie detector test. It is very useless. I mean... This, and it's archaic. It's been around since what, the 40s or 30s, right? And it hasn't been upgraded. I mean, we have computer technology now. You think you could, I don't know, advance the polygraph a little bit. There is a reason it is useless in court. There really is. I wouldn't even fucking consider the polygraph results if it wasn't the fact that she failed it completely, changed her story 10 times, and doesn't fucking remember a goddamn thing, yet she hardly drank that night. Give me a break.
Well, for that's the first question I have. She claims that she had one drink. Okay. She says she's sure that she only had one drink. That's fine. But the question I would ask at that point is, where did you have the drink? Who were you drinking with? Did you drink on your own? What kind of drink was it? If her memory is so good that she remembers she just had one drink, then she should remember what that drink was, I would suspect, right? Whether or not it was just like a beer or something else. I'm sorry for
No, they should have shoved questions down her throat like they were doing to Kavanaugh. But no, she's a woman. She gets the fucking sweet treatment. She's got to be taken lightly because she was sexually assaulted when she can't even keep her goddamn story straight.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I hate to give this YouTuber credit. I hardly watch his stuff anymore. But he was a guest on a very old Redeye stream, Prince of Queens. I watched a video about his thoughts on the Kavanaugh hearing, and he said it looks like she's acting. According to him, I don't know if it's true. I don't really know the guy that well, but he's been in acting since he was a little kid, and he could tell when someone's fake crying and acting a part. And that kind of seems what it was. And a psychology PhD in psychology, all right? You have your doctorate. I'm pretty sure you would know how to freaking act if something happened like this to you. Probably mainly because you've seen real people in your office breaking down. And she
Dodge, I'm cutting you off for a reason. You have kids. Everybody can hear them every single day when you do this damn stream. If you don't know when a woman, and I say that because I can hear the females screaming in the background, is fake crying, I'm going to slap you myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you have a point. You have a very good point. And yeah, she was lying her ass off. This was an act, in my opinion, but I'm not a professional. I'm not a psychologist.
Well, the fact is that the story she says, there's not only is there no testimony, no evidence, right? Everybody that she claimed were there can't support it, which means the witnesses she claims were there all deny that it happened. Okay, there's a lot of stories going on about how come they didn't place Mark Judge under subpoena, all right, and make him testify.
Joshua Janis in the chat said the creator of the polygraph test even said it was flawed and you can pass it while lying.
Yes, there are times you can pass a polygraph while lying. It's not as easy as you think it is. It is an effective tool. Okay.
I was just bringing up what I thought was a valid point.
I mean, I've gone through a polygraph.
So how did it feel not taking a shit for a day?
Well, it's not that. It's first of all, there's several things that they're doing when you get in a polygraph. First of all, they're judging you because you're supposed to be sitting perfectly still when they're doing this and they're asking questions, and so they're watching you. And if you're not perfectly still, then that's going to be something that gets annotated, right? So, is the person cooperative? Is the person trying to be cooperative, etc.? All that's a part of it. They have a heart rate meter. They have a breathing meter, across your chest, and then they'll put some kind of galvanometer on either your fingers, or in my case, because my fingers were so dry, they actually put them on my toes. All right, so you're standing there or sitting there with your hands perfectly straight while these things are stuck to your toes and they're asking you questions. Now, the only question that they really wanted to answer to was one that was ordered by Reagan at the time, because he wanted to try and clear out any kind of spies in the U.S. military that had clearances. And he ordered everybody that had a clearance to go through a polygraph. And they really only asked one question, which was, are you a spy? Have you given up classified information? All right, that's really the only question they asked. Now, in order to do that, they have to establish a baseline, which is a little bit more
from
in-depth.
The atrocious spelling, Spud says, can't MC just drone strike some bitches and get this dumpster fire done with?
No hurling of big rocks. But I have a big question for MC for MD. Do they give you a breathalyzer before conducting said polygraph?
They didn't give me one.
Oh, then he'd be fine.
Then I could just get wasted and lie my ass off. They won't fucking know. I'll be fine.
Well, I think if they smell alcohol in your breath, they may have some questions.
Well, have some mints.
Sir, you have half a tin of Altoids coming out of your mouth. I really like the first one.
Yeah. I'm addicted to Altoids, all right? Sorry.
Well, this could be worse. You could be like Dr. Layman and just be pounding Tic Tacs all day.
No, and the polygraph really is a flawed instrument, but the fact that she failed it and now she's trying to discount it and can't even remember dates. Okay,
I thought she passed it. Where did they say that she failed it? No,
then why is she bringing it up? Then why is she bringing it up a million
because
times?
it's additional evidence to support her case.
The problem, of course, is that you only have her basically saying that she passed a polygraph. You didn't have any testimony by the person who gave her the polygraph, and nor did you have the polygraph data itself presented as testimony, if I remember correctly.
Well, you can't have that as testimony, even in this. You can in the House or the Senate or whatever.
This is not a hearing. I mean, this is a hearing, not a criminal trial. There's no reason why they can't use that as evidence. And present. Okay. There's just like the FBI. Like I said, the FBI is the one who does the polygraphs. They do that goes into your record. All right, in my record, okay, there is the polygraph is there along with all the sheets that were part of it. In the FBI, it's part of the FBI file they have on you.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. So the Rosenstein here, meeting with President Trump. He's gonna get sacked, isn't he? Come on, we've already talked about this once before.
I think he's going to announce when he's going to leave. He'll go into a meeting, then he'll come out and announce at what time he's leaving the administration. That's what I suspect is going to happen at that meeting. Because Rosenstein has a lot to answer for. You cannot be attending meetings on where you're saying that you need to have convince other members of the cabinet, all right, about the veracity of a 25th Amendment, all right, to get rid of Trump. You can't be making jokes like, even if it's a joke, what do you want me to do, wear a wire? Well, the question is then, if you were being sarcastic and you were joking, why would you be joking about something like that? And what was the conversation that led to your sarcastic comment? Who were you talking to? And I suspect that Rosenstein is not going to want to out who those people are. There's also one more thing that makes it very dangerous for Rosenstein, and that is Lisa Page has already come out on the record and said, no, he wasn't joking, which means they have testimony from Lisa Page and possibly others that if he says the wrong thing and it contradicts what they have reason right there to fire him.
Well, they have reason to fire him already. President Trump could fire whoever he wants. They serve at the will of the president, correct?
They do serve at the whim of the president.
Well, the optics of it, if you're just all of a sudden, here's the guy that pointed that he's firing him out of the blue, the backlash would be. But if it's like, if he was seriously considering wearing a wire and potentially entrapping the president of the United States, and there's corroborating evidence for it, then, well, that seems like a lot more serious reason than a reason for potential termination.
A Shepherd historian in the chat. This may be a good thing in disguise, in that this pretty much is showing on full display to the nation the absolute kangaroo court style of the #MeToo Inquisition. He goes on to say, it also shows that the only thing the Democrats have on conservatives is that they're white, straight males who interact with women.
Well, no, and I don't like this idea that you can't even look a woman in the eyes anymore. Like at Google, right? Isn't that the rule? You look her in the eyes for more than 3 seconds and you're fucking in trouble. Like it's sexual.
I think you're thinking about Netflix.
Netflix. Okay, Netflix. Sorry. But that's still, like, are you fucking shitting me? What happened?
I prefer people look me in the eyes when they're talking to me. If you look away from me or you look down at the floor, I'm going to think that you got a fucking problem.
Doesn't this go back to looking at somebody in the eyes and actually seeing them as another human being? Because didn't we cover, I think it was the House in one of the states, you can't even make eye contact with somebody you're having a debate with. You need to look at the chamber president.
That's ridiculous.
Lynn, will you come in here? We need another woman's perspective. We really do.
Well, no, and while we wait to see if she wants to, the links in the Redeye text chat and Discord handed. But she says the hearing and everything related to Kavanaugh is a job interview. The implications of this interview goes further than this this job if the bar association finds something. He has to answer to the judicial rules of conduct as well as the professional rules of conduct. If stuff is coming out he didn't disclose on his bar application or is in violation, he could be suspended or sanctioned. So this whole thing has put his entire career in jeopardy.
Which is fucking wrong. Because in my honest opinion, he didn't do a goddamn thing, and she's wrong for putting his name in jeopardy.
I tend to think, because I listened to the stream with was it Eldritch the other day, and I believe he happens to work in like the mental health industry. And just because I remember I've been saying something kind of similar, I do tend to believe, just based upon that whole door scenario with the counseling and the sheer fact that she wrote something before it actually came out, that there's a very high chance that something did happen to Dr. Ford. Whether or not it was Judge Kavanaugh, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know. But I do not see a preponderance or beyond a reasonable doubt so far with the evidence I've seen.
Are you going to trust a fucking doctor in psychology to 30-something years later say suddenly I repressed these memories? I mean, that's a really suspect fucking explanation.
It does happen, man. It does happen.
Memes, have you listened to other people who have been raped or sexually assaulted actually recant their story, or not recant, but repeat their stories?
Yes.
Do they sound anything like what the good doctor have spewed out of, or had spewed out of her mouth?
I mean, every situation is different.
Do they trip over their goddamn words?
Sometimes.
Not one that I have ever heard. Unless they are choked up. And I do mean that literally.
Well, if something is so horrific, sometimes reliving it it's hard.
All right, well, let's move it along a little bit. Anything else you want to say about the Rosenstein meeting? Because there's nothing we're really going to know until it actually happens, right?
Hey, Duko. Although I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to make the "Where in the World is Rod Rosenstein" meme.
Well, why haven't you done that yet, then?
Because I'm lazy. I'm a terrible memes of destruction.
Hey, what's up, guys?
You really are.
True.
Guys and the make free speech free again, gal.
Sugar, you call me Sharati or you call me Shar?
Can I have a personalized nickname? Can I call you
Sharati?
Or just woman?
You call me Sharati or you call me Shar?
She would also accept Queen.
No one else was allowed to call her Shar. What kind of
Actually, other people are allowed to call me Shar.
Oh, I've been left out of the whole thing. Look at how far down the dang freaking pile I am. What kind of crap is this?
Honey, you've never asked.
No,
Queen sounds pretty kinky, though. You have to admit.
Sugar, you have no idea.
Okay, all right.
I have ideas.
I'm stopping that fucking. I'm stopping that rabbit hole right here. Okay. So 400 guns were stolen from a UPS facility in Tennessee. The ATF is the ATF is investigating. MC, you found that. Can you pull it up real quick?
Yeah, give me a second here.
Only 400?
No, this was on Sunday. It was in Memphis.
Why were there
Sunday or last week Sunday?
No, this Sunday.
Why were there 400 firearms at the UPS facility?
You could buy a gun online directly from the manufacturer. They then ship it to a gun dealer, and then you get your background check there.
Right.
At least, yeah.
About 400 guns were stolen from the United Parcel Service facility in Memphis. Authorities are concerned about the theft's potential effect on public safety in this city and elsewhere. 2 people driving a U-Haul truck stole the weapons from a UPS facility in Memphis on Sunday. The ATF has said. The agency has asked for the public's help in the case and is offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction.
No, but wait, real quick.
Only $5,000?
No, I gotta stop you though. They rented a fucking U-Haul. There's a record of that. I mean, can't you track that down? You have to leave a credit card.
Assuming that wasn't somebody that works for U-Haul. You would need to, I mean...
Questions.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, just... questions. So, someone took a U-Haul truck, stole... how many firearms?
400.
400.
And we now have no idea where they are.
Correct.
Don't U-Hauls have a fucking tracking number on them or some sort of tracking?
That's why the story hasn't had an update yet.
Interesting. So about these U-Haul trucks, do we have a license plate? Do we know who rented them? Do we know where they went to pick up these quote shipments? You would think there would be some,
okay. First
information.
of all, in this case, the UPS probably has a special facility for dealing with guns, which means that whoever did this has to know UPS's policies on how and where they store firearms or firearms and things like that.
But MC, like, you would think this would be a more secure location. I mean, one would also think to notice the difference between a UPS truck and a U-Haul.
Well, but once again, this looks like an inside job.
Well, it's a fair assessment.
Okay, I mean, to me, this is obviously
more
something...
than likely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it more than likely was. It either was somebody who worked there or used to work there.
Wait a second. Do you think there's any correlation between this and the Great Serp Caper in southern Canada, where they stole like 40,000 gallons of maple syrup? Do you think they're trading the syrup for firearms? Because Canadian maple syrup is quite strong.
Okay, I can tell you.
You think that this was a trade for the maple syrup?
Do you like breakfast?
Maple syrup is fucking disgusting.
I agree to disagree.
Sometimes you can act really stupid.
Hey, I like ketchup on spaghetti. Me and Sticks can share that identity.
How? Okay, no, just no. You make some sauce, you ground some meat, or make some meatballs. Dude, I have to tell you how to fucking make spaghetti. I'm not even Italian. Where the fuck's Pinoid at?
This is somebody that decided to get into an argument with his girlfriend over cutting lettuce.
Hey! It was how to wash lettuce.
Wash, cut, same difference. How to wash lettuce doesn't make it any better, Beebs.
well, that's another story.
He also didn't protect her from water. So
I commandeered her glasses, and I wanted to wait for the wave.
He wanted to bounce her on the wave pool.
Well, that's what she said. You planned that deliberately, and she did get hit in the face with a 20-foot wave.
Okay, see, I'm very curious about something. Do they provide any information about the facility that these weapons were being stored?
They just said it was a United Parcel facility in Memphis, Tennessee. And then they said that it was a U-Haul. Two people driving a U-Haul truck were the ones that stole the weapon. They don't go into how they got to the facility, where they pulled up to the facility, whether or not they came into the facility armed and grabbed the truck. They give no information aside from what it sounds like to me, is that this was a locked facility that very few people knew about, except for probably people that work for UPS. That they knew that this was in here, and they went in there and raided it. Is what it sounds like to me.
See, I find that very curious. I actually used to work in logistics, specifically management, where I'll just say I managed Department of State shipments, domestic. So DOS 5 shipments. If we were going to move anything into any kind of secure facility, be it private, government owned, no matter what. Let's say you were just trying to go into a frickin' Safeway storehouse. If you didn't have steel-toed boots, they would turn you away. How on earth did these people actually manage to get into a shipment that has weaponry?
Well, we've all watched Breaking Bad.
They're really, really anal about this kind of stuff. I mean, they will, unless you know somebody at essentially the guardhouse, because that's ultimately what it is, there's no way in hell you're getting in.
Don't doubt. I'm going to make a comment because I actually worked at a said guardhouse for a major U.S. corporation at one point. I was doing contract security. I was also the guy that was putting the tags, like giving them to the actual truckers driving like 120,000-pound trailers. I did not get paid a lot of money. So just all I'm saying, if there was somebody there and perhaps they were not the most honest of individuals and they were offered a lot of money, it could be possible.
Are you saying
that's kind of my point?
Was a life for you at that point? Memes?
Hey, all I'm saying, man, is they wouldn't let me empty the trash can because it was union.
Okay, all right. I'm looking at the chat.
That's my point. If everybody was, going by the quote unquote going by the book, there's no way in hell this would have happened.
Yeah, it's obvious that the rules weren't being followed in multiple areas. That's why I suggested it has to have been an inside job.
No, you guys.
Okay, wait.
Looking at the
just
chat.
Just a second.
No, I already got cut off by Doku here, Shardy. Come on, give me a second. Tiger Lily says the maple syrup cartel. That's a possibility. Candid Lynn says it must have been Amazon. I mean, come on. We got a couple.
But UPS ships their stuff.
Then Tiger Lily goes on to say, then memes got into the thug life.
What? Recently, I don't think.
It's a plot by Mythos to take out the competitor.
I mean, Warehouse 1 versus Warehouse 2. What are you going to say?
But that would be like Uber deflating their own driver's tires.
I wanted to ask MC how his mom was doing.
She's not doing really good. She's in a lot of pain, and she's probably going to have to go to a rehab facility for 5 to 8 weeks or more.
That's too bad. I heard what you said in your rant this morning and just wanted to check and see how she was doing.
Well, thank you for asking.
Okay, Jade, yeah, when we get into some non-political stuff, I'll shoot you the link on Twitter. Because, I mean, this isn't really political, this is more news, but yeah. Okay, everybody knows that the mafia isn't completely wiped out. Everybody fucking knows it, all right? And now I'm probably going to get fucking whacked. See what I just did? I fucked myself over. But no, could it be a old school freaking mafia connection or something? Like, they used to rob shit like this. I mean, seriously. They robbed the fucking shipyards all the time in fucking Jersey. They robbed the fucking airport also. I mean, like, they did this type of shit as a fucking living. Could it be that type of fucking operation where Memes is right? Somebody was paid off. Hey, come right in, guys. Back it up. And then, a fucking, whatever, don't remember the fucking moving company. but that, you know, somebody was paid off in there and just handed them the keys at night. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
Wait a second. Hold on. We haven't seen Mr. Ogre for a while, and he did used to operate a trucking company.
So now you're
wasn't he live streaming a couple of days ago?
Basically, you're blaming Ogre for going down there.
I am not blaming it. I'm just simply correlating connections.
So basically, he's close enough to sit up there and chip the guns across the border.
Well, to be fair, it would be a long drive, so it would take.
Well, no, and now the chat is bringing up, you know, the triads, the Russian mob, you know, I would say the Mexican mafia, but the Italian mob is still, or mafia is still alive. I think the Irish mob pretty much is gone after Whitey got caught. They pretty much dispersed. But could this be organized crime is what I'm asking, because it sounds a lot like organized crime is all I'm saying.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Why would organized crime do something like that? Unless they already had unless they had a buyer. No, because it's so easy to get guns. I mean, to be honest, if you're going to do something like that, you might as well just build your own. Let's be perfectly honest. Building your own weaponry is not that difficult. And if they were needing guns in any kind of large amount, what are they going to do? Right? I mean, honestly, I'm not saying that they can't do something like this, but there's not why would they do something like this? And I'm talking specifically the mafia itself. Now, from an organized crime standpoint, I can see certain groups that are in the arms deals doing it. I can see somebody like, for example, the Hell's Angels. They have an element that deals strictly with arms shipments. All right, so they could do it. I can see that happening, but as far as the mob, as we consider the mob, you know, Godfather's kind of style, I just don't see them doing it. I really don't.
Honestly, it could easily be that kind of situation, but from what I know, this would be one of those situations where it was allowed to happen. It's like, yeah, maybe they knew about it. No one gave a shit. Maybe some people were paid off, but no one's gonna do shit. No one's gonna do shit about it. So, yeah, it happened.
I tend to think that if it was a mob style job, I tend to think, like MC was saying, they're too smart to do something like this, because if you're gonna be robbing a UPS facility, it's not like they have a whole bunch of closed circuit cameras around and everything to get everything from plates to faces and stuff like this. I mean, I tend to lean along the lines of somebody maybe kind of got paid off, maybe looked the other way, and at this point they're just kind of tracking them down.
Exactly, and that's kind of more the point that I'm going with. Is it's not necessarily a situation that was out of the ordinary. It was more just it's something that it happened and it was allowed to happen. Because, yeah, someone got paid off, or fuck it, yeah, maybe it just wasn't worth it. Yeah, maybe I can say something and prevent this from happening. But how much is my family's life worth? Or maybe I should just keep my mouth shut. Yeah, that kind of shit.
And once again, looking at the chat, ANCAP deist artist says, "Are you sure it wasn't terrorists?" Okay. Now, MC, if it was terrorists, would it only be the ATF involved in the investigation, or would they call the Department of Homeland Security?
No, the FBI would have immediately started. It would be called in as part of the investigation. Homeland Security may be notified with something like that, but it'll come from the FBI.
Okay. Yeah, because it's only the ATF investigating at this point, which makes me think it's domestic, and that's why I'm leaning towards the organized crime aspect of it. It could also be, well, here's another option. Remember the gun running scandal Obama had? Could it be the government itself to try and do the same thing?
You mean Operation Fast and Furious?
Yeah, would President Trump do something as underhanded as that?
Perhaps. Maybe
He'd be bragging about it. What are you talking about? Damn right, I'm giving Mexican guns better guns down there than they are up here. I can see a whole freaking thing from him now, right?
The thing is, it could be a rogue element within take your pick of a group. It could be a rogue element within the government. You wouldn't even know about it. Who knows? How many weapons did we quote unquote lose during that operation? Just that one operation alone?
Oh,
yeah, I believe it was in the millions.
No. The worth was in the millions, but I think the weapons themselves were in the thousands.
The weapons, ammunition. I mean,
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, it's not like you look at the battery technology at the time and realize maybe you need more than 72 hours of actually battery life on your timers or your trackers.
You don't sit up there and say,
interesting.
You don't have people sit up there and saying, this isn't workable, we don't want to do this, and then turn around and say, yeah, just go ahead and sell it to them anyway.
Yeah, just saying it's all questionable. So who's to say who's behind what?
From the Justice Department said when they were warned that they wouldn't be able to track it, they were told, go ahead and sell it to them anyway. That was Fast and Furious.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Well, Obama was a terrible president. Sorry, it's a fact.
I like Obama.
It also would seem if you're in power for 8 years and you somehow conveniently manage to lose a significant amount of weaponry that's not necessarily available to the general public.
Yeah, actually, does it specify the type of firearms? Sorry to cut you off, but that's a good question. What type of firearms were stolen? Are these semi-automatic rifles? Are these pistols? What are they?
There's absolutely nothing in the news article to tell you what kind of weapons these were.
Which is exactly why I'm skeptical about it, because what exactly went missing? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about handguns? We're talking about 22. We're talking about 22 pistols. Are we talking about 5.56 rifles? Are we?
Is this talking about?
You're talking about cases of firearms.
Yeah, but yeah, but what if this was a fucking group of 4,000 fucking Civil War muskets being shipped to the Smithsonian for all we fucking know?
Or was a whole bunch of rifles being shipped to Alex Jones's studio?
First of all, it's not 4,000, 400. We don't need to be.
Okay, 400.
We need to add zeros for effect.
Yeah. I didn't say 4 million at least. Shit, it could go all out.
And that's exactly my whole point, and why I'm curious. Like, okay, if you're talking about 7.62, 5.56 semi-automatic rifles, okay, yeah, you can buy that, no problem. I mean, that's standard weaponry.
Well, yeah, but
are we talking about that, or are we talking about like? Are we talking about 50 cal BMGs? Are we talking about automatic grenade launchers? I mean, what weapons are we really talking about here? We don't have that kind of information, and that's what I'm curious about. I would like to know the kind of weaponry we're actually talking about here. That's kind of important to the conversation.
Well, no, couldn't you get close to 400 guns by knocking over a fucking gun store and going into the back and taking their back stock? I mean, right?
To be fair, it's not usually wise to rob a firearm store.
Yeah, I would not recommend trying to rob a firearm store. All I know is the local.
Yeah. All I know is the local shop around me. One of the last times I was in it, it was run by two Sicilian gentlemen who preferred dealing in cash. And one of them behind the counter literally had a Smith & Wesson 500 tucked into his pants. So yeah, it wouldn't be smart.
SMW 500.
So you went into a fucking mafia gun store?
No, I didn't say that.
No, the SMW M500 is a completely legal weapon. It's just a really, really, really big gun.
It's a mini howitzer.
No, but what he said is Sicilian gentlemen who like to deal in cash. Like, come on, what are you hinted at?
No,
man?
those are factual statements.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it was illegal. It's just maybe he just prefers to deal in cash.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Yeah. You don't get that like 3% credit card hit.
Fair enough.
There's nothing wrong there. It's cheaper to deal in cash than it is with credit. Let's be honest. I mean, hell, I buy gold and silver all the fucking time. If I want to buy gold or silver, it's a lot easier to write a frickin' check than it is to go with actual cash because it's about 2 to 3% more expensive.
Yeah. Memes, you just confirmed to Tiger Lily that you are indeed in the thug life. So good job.
Oh, it's been a while since I've been a hooligan. Hi, Mole.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
And yes, nerd, you are.
I'm a nerd? What?
Of course you're a nerd.
I know. And I wear that badge proudly.
Well, you're a mole with cool rose-colored glasses or rainbow-colored.
Oh, but talk about nerddom. I have recently signed up for college as well, Mad.
Congrats.
Oh,
what are
nice.
you going to school for, Sugar?
I'm just taking prereqs right now, and I'll figure out what I want to do further on down the line. I have some ideas, but I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, that's awesome. And Dade, that is amazing.
Is he still here? Did he leave?
No, he left, but in the chat he goes, "As you wish." That is so awesome.
And me and him need to get together. We live so close together, man. We should at least go out for supper or something sometime.
Yeah,
They're gonna have a discussion on what they're gonna do with the guns and the maple syrup.
I know, right? Yeah. So the maple syrup fucking mafia. There's a bunch of fucking Canadians coming down.
Just wash your hands well before you eat breakfast.
But no, okay. We can move on to another story if you want. What else did you put in here? Oh. French president criticized for photo beside man making obscene gesture. Interesting though that he took a photo with a young Caribbean man who happens to be black, and he has no shirt on. This is the French president, by the way. They got their arms around each other and they're smiling, and then someone next to him is flipping off the camera or some shit. Why is this even a thing? Yeah, why is this ever even a thing? You know how many Facebook pictures I have with me flipping off the damn camera? Like, come on, man.
Are you the president of France?
Dude, all I would have to do
off the damn camera.
Yeah, no, but if I wanted to be the president of France, I'll just go and sock him in the nose. He'll be like, okay, I give up. I'm your president now.
You're not the president of Canada.
Flag up. I don't know. MC, what do you think about this supposed outrage? Isn't it kind of ridiculous? I don't like Macron at all, really. I just think this is a stupid way to attack somebody.
Are you talking about Macron, France's president?
Yeah, Emmanuel Macron.
Macron.
And they're criticizing the president, right? For the picture. What was Macron supposed to do? Somebody go get this guy?
No. He's supposed to
take the freaking
his
camera
staff
away?
was supposed to crop the picture better.
I mean, what the hell is he supposed to do? He's supposed to freaking karate chop the guy and take all the things off the film like
it would be better. It'd be better, yeah. If you just turned around and punched him and don't fucking flip off the camera when you're in a picture.
Hit him right in the gonads on the way by or something.
No. He just roundhouse kicks the guy's like Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, huh?
It only works if you're from Quahog.
Yeah, but this is pretty ridiculous, really, isn't it? Come on now. I mean, what the fuck? We have better reasons to hate his fucking ass, don't we? I mean, political reasons.
Well, who cares about him? He's kind of irrelevant. I mean, he's From a United States perspective, to be honest, he's irrelevant.
Right. And I'll speak for Cabbage if he wasn't, since he's not here. Fuck France.
No.
I'm just being funny. I don't have anything against France personally, but
just don't. No, just don't attack a Brit if you're French with a penknife on Normandy.
I don't know what the big deal is with this. I really don't.
The funniest thing about the animosity between France and Britain is their culture and lives are so intertwined for the last 1,000 years that they're really not that different from each other. I mean, genetically speaking.
You're setting yourself up for a tongue lashing, aren't you?
Yeah, are you trying to get killed by Cabby?
No, I mean, culturally they're very different, but like genetically speaking, I bet you they're pretty fucking close.
Oh, careful, Mole. Cabby infected
jealous
me.
That he wasn't actually French.
How the hell did Cabby infect you? Did all of a sudden you become a British bastard?
Oh my goodness, poor Cabbage.
No, I think all
love Cabbage, and I'll call him a British bastard to his face.
Oh, constantly.
I think we've all called him several different freaking choice words at one time or another. He's kind of used to that.
That's why I like him, because he's fucking brutally honest, man. He is brutally honest. That's very rare.
Yeah, he's so brutally honest, he'll argue about 20 minutes about something you weren't even arguing about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, try being friends with him. I get nice personal calls.
We're all friends with him.
Yeah? Does he chew you out on a regular basis?
How many times have I been called a feminist or an SJW or...
But no, okay, so...
A freedom of speech Nazi?
That story was a dud. What else do you got here, MC? I'm looking through.
Okay, she wanted to have sex. He didn't.
Yeah.
He took a knife to his face. Cop said.
There you go. Wow. There you go. Yeah, the crazy bitch.
The combination of lust, liquor, a large kitchen utensil landed a Vero Beach woman in jail on charges of felony battery with a deadly weapon, cops say. An arrest report says the Vero Beach cop showed up at an apartment that 27-year-old Catherine Neves Tavez, I'm butchering the name, so I apologize, shares with her live-in boyfriend, and I'm not going to screw up his name. It's horrible. I just can't pronounce it. I'll try it. Amarui Vasquez Carraro.
Mr. A.
Okay. Answer the door with blood on her. Neves answered the door with blood on her clothing and blood on her hands. Then the officer saw Carraro fall to the floor with blood covering his face. When he asked what happened, she hit me with a knife. I can't see.
What?
Tavares has been drinking before she approached him early Thursday as he sat on the couch with a request for sex. His repeated refusals, he said, brought the wrath of her yelling. He said when he went out to the patio. Carraro stated that Tavez followed him outside with a large silver kitchen knife and was screaming at him. She proceeded to hit him in the face multiple times with the silver kitchen knife.
Him? Isn't that called slashing?
Yeah.
She hit him with the content?
Stabbing somebody real quick. With a fucking knife.
No, somebody buy this bitch the smart dildo we were talking about the other day. Like, this bitch needs...
No. $80 you get a quality Hitachi, and occasionally your ex-girlfriend turns it on, she jumps into your arms because she didn't know her vibrator was going to vibrate. These things happen.
The officer noted that Carraro had numerous facial cuts and redness around his neck and chest area, and his shirt was ripped. Tavez said her boyfriend came home from being out with his friend and had a scar already on his face.
Was he actively bleeding?
That woman's psychotic.
I don't know about you guys, but this sounds kind of kinky.
That's another stream, Doku.
Advised that when she asked Mr. Vasquez about the cut on his face, he became angry and attacked her with the knife. Kevin could not give specific information about her account of the story. She remains in Indian River County Jail on $15,000 bond.
How did he get the knife?
That seems like a pretty low bond to me, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, right. What would you get for fucking like that's attempted rape and like fucking attempted murder, right?
I've been jail on $25,000 bond for a fucking misdemeanor, dude. So I don't fucking
I stand by my fucking statement here. This sounds incredibly kinky. I'm confused, but I think it sounds kinky.
MC, Joshua Janice has a very good question. Where was this?
Vero Beach, Florida. Florida man.
Oh, wow.
In this case, it's not the Florida man per se. It's a Florida woman that did it to the Florida man.
But it was quite a manly thing to do.
What?
Okay,
Why do people keep moving?
Even have comments.
No, hey, Florida has great weather. It's very warm. It's very humid. And all I know is we have a radio station up here, WAAF, and on their morning show, they have a daily/weekly segment called
Tiger Lily's
Florida,
got a point.
like the rest of us.
They need Jesus.
Florida has great fucking weather, but we don't know who the fuck is holding the knife. Okay, sounds like a great state.
I like Florida.
Oh,
what?
Jesus may not be real,
yeah,
but it's something to worship other than the fucking craziness that they seem to have a lot of down there.
True. But I'm sure some medication would not hurt.
Means when you go to Florida, because you've like since I've known you, you've gone to Florida a bunch of fucking times already. You always seem to fucking brag about it. Do you drink the water out of the tap, or do you buy bottled water?
What? What are you talking about? Of course you can drink it as long as it's decently safe.
Is it?
Which explains
decently safe.
Yeah, no, I've washed my mouth out and stuff with it. What's wrong?
I'm kind of curious. Would you want to drink the water in a state where someone's saying, yeah, as long as it's decently safe? Why is that even in question?
Well, hey, I mean, it might not be Vermont water, but it's decent.
Yeah, I grew up in a state like that.
Fair enough, I guess.
Like, we never needed a nightlight, just glue in the dark from fucking drinking the water.
Well, no, I'm wondering if that's why there's all these Florida man and woman stories. Like, it has to be the water, right?
Where Mole is from, they used to light the river on fire to give it a nice night glow.
Hey,
all I have to say is
stop drinking the salt water.
All I have to say is they're turning the fucking frogs gay.
There is nuclear waste buried within a 15-mile area of me.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Are you Spider Mole?
I wish I could be. If I got any superpowers, they're not very good because they have not helped me a bit.
Somebody better quit fucking pulling me out of the damn call.
Nobody is. It's Google Hangouts, and you and Doku keep dropping at the exact same time. So it's Google Hangouts.
Well, then I blame
Hashtag
Doku.
net neutrality.
Yeah, apparently I said they're turning the fucking frogs gay, and I don't know, Google or something.
You got a copyright strike from Alex Jones.
Yeah.
But apparently I'm not allowed to say they're turning the fucking frogs gay because, the water and shit.
Well, then stop, because every time you drop, I drop.
The YouTube Nazis are after you.
Well, you know what? Maybe they need to make speech free again.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice.
They're testing the new European Article 13 filter.
Apparently 2 + 2 = fucking 5, damn it.
Hey,
2
+
2 = 2. Okay.
True.
Challenge me.
Hey, 1 and 1 make 2, and 2 and 1 make 3. It was destined.
No, but okay.
1 + 1 = 11.
This is the second time.
You obviously didn't get that.
This is the second time in at least 6 months.
Go down the rabbit hole.
This is the second time in like 6 months. I don't remember when the last story was. It might have been a while ago. It might have been recently. But in the same state, 2 different women freaked out and held knives to their boyfriend's fucking throat and demanded sex. Okay, what is going on with guys if you won't even just fucking, put something down, go fucking do your girlfriend and be done with it? Like, goddamn, you got to get threatened with death to get a hard on. What's going on?
Hashtag me too.
Too much time on Pornhub.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if a chick held a knife to my testicles, I might get turned on. Never know.
I would be
some kind of kinky.
Oh yes, I am very kinky.
You'll get along well on another Discord server. Sure, already sending you right now.
Is it safe for work?
Not at all.
No.
That's what I like to hear.
Is it safe for work? What a question.
We're a very diverse group here.
See, I'm very okay with sexual diversity, but no, seriously, like
deviancy.
All right, we can change the subject now.
Yeah.
Dodge back to the topic.
Yeah. Well, how about them Red Sox?
The crazy bitch topic, I think we wrapped up because, well, that's just a crazy bitch. Okay, so that DC restaurant that Ted Cruz got shouted out of is now hiring extra security, right, MC? What's up with that?
Yeah, they decided that they're going to hire security guards to prevent protesters from coming and attacking their guests. What a surprise!
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
And what's that going to do? Just encourage more fucking protesters to come in and get after the goddamn security guards.
You're probably right, unfortunately.
She's not wrong.
I don't like this path, MC. Make it stop.
How am I going to make it stop?
I don't know. Figure out a nice
drone strike the bastards.
This amazes me. The one who's the most conservative person on this panel is the person who's expected to step in and stop all this insanity. Haven't I been complaining to you memes that the whole thing started because you won't step up, and you're still telling me to do things?
Hey, he's following. You said lead follower, get out of the way. He's right behind you, buddy.
You have a point there.
Oh, fuck.
Well, I mean, to be honest, this is something that people who own the restaurant, the owners of the restaurant, in any kind of restaurant like this, they're just shooting themselves in the foot if they allow any kind of protest, regardless of who it is. If they chased in Bill Clinton and chased him out of a freaking restaurant, a bunch of conservatives, mooning him or jeering him until he left, I would be totally against that. Look, you have a responsibility if you're going to serve food, if you're going to be in this kind of a business, to take care of your customers,
right? And
you shouldn't allow these kind of things to happen, And look, I can understand why certain protesters want to happen. I mean, recently they just had that guy who served a steak to Maduro, right? And the people are all out there protesting his restaurant and everything, right? You have a responsibility to make sure that you're serving your clients, right? Why would you? It's the same thing that with any of this stuff. If I want to sell shoes, for example, if I'm Nike and I want to sell shoes, right? Why would I go out of my way to do something that I know is going to piss off half the people out there, all right, or a large segment out there to not want to buy my shoes? I better be expecting, if you're going to do something like that, that the people who are going to buy shoes are going to come flock into my store, all right, and continue to flock to my store if I'm going to sit up there and get involved from a business perspective into politics.
Well, it's like MJ said, Republicans buy shoes too.
Yes. So, I mean, what was the point? There's no point in doing, in making your possible
hiring
business.
Kaepernick?
Well, I was kind of referring to it in an odd manner, or off.
Democrats buy shoes too.
But it's more to do with
they hired Kaepernick. They fucked up.
Well, it's not that they hired Kaepernick; it's that they made him part of their. They made him like a celebrity, right? They're doing it from a celebrity endorsement perspective.
Yeah, but he doesn't even play football anymore. The motherfucker sucks. He can't get a job. He played for my favorite team, for God's sake, and I know he sucks. I watched the fucking games. How many interceptions did this cunt throw?
He almost won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he had one good year. One. That's it. He was a flash in the pan, a one-hit wonder. Milli Vanilli. He was fucking ridiculous, dude. Fuck that motherfucker.
Don't mention lip syncers.
Yeah. They don't
He's
even
got
count.
cool.
That's all
How
he's
about
doing.
MC
I did that for a reason. That's all he's doing is
Hammer?
lip syncing and actually caring. He created the whole Neil movement. What are they stopping? They have money. They have millions. They'll fucking stop it. You know? God damn.
You're right. It's not good. It's not good in a business sense. But what he was getting at is a restaurant. The people that come to eat there should not feel uncomfortable. They should have a pleasant dining experience. I am not against protesting, but there's time and place for it, and that is not the time nor the place to do it.
Right, I agree.
Would you say they need a safe space?
No, I don't mean that. I just mean they should deserve a pleasant and not in a comfortable dining experience. That's all I'm saying.
That sounds like I consider it a safe space.
Okay, call it what you want to call it, but I mean that's a business point of view.
If the ambiance is, if that's not part of your general business ambiance, that people aren't going there to get insulted, okay, then they should be doing something to ensure that their customer base is not insulted. If their customers are going there to have a nice deal with their spouse or their significant other or whoever, right? And all of a sudden they're harassed or harangued or there's all sorts of protests going outside their window, they won't come. It's going to affect your business in a negative manner. You can see why a business would want to protect itself from that kind of activity, taking place.
But that's the whole point behind all of this shit and why it's so incredibly stupid when, it's like, oh, let's take a knee during the national anthem. Okay, well, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. That's like, okay, exactly. I'm gonna start a burger restaurant. My entire goal is to sell burgers. To sell food, not to be political. If you want to be political about shit, well, guess what? Half of the country, let's look at the demographics real quick. You're going to piss off half the country and you're going to make half of the country happy. Let's say I don't support Trump. Okay, well, my burger restaurant's going to be crap. I've just alienated 50% of my demographic. If I sit there and complain on Twitter or Facebook that, oh, people aren't, buying my hamburgers because, fuck Trump, they're not going to buy my hamburgers. I sit there and turn around and complain about it. Yeah, guess what? I did that to myself. Or let's say I do support Trump. Yeah, there's going to be 50% of the demographic that doesn't like that. Maybe I should just focus on selling hamburgers. And,
you have a point. You have a point, but that type of strategy has worked for businesses like Chick-fil-A and stuff like that, where you actually have
conservative.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with that in this regard. Chick-fil-A wasn't doing anything political. People were claiming and bringing politics and saying this is one of the people involved. They themselves, what political statement were they making?
And I agree with MC. I'm going to side with MC on this one. Chick-fil-A was not being political. Chick-fil-A has values, and they stuck to those values, and they didn't let anyone bully them out of it.
They should have just said, I like chicken, and moved on.
Right. What I was
Chick-fil-A is in the business. Chick-fil-A is in the business of selling chicken. They have values, yes. They're vocal about those values, yes. They're not going to be bullied out of it, yes. But at the end of the day, Chick-fil-A is in the business of selling chicken. They're not political. They have values, but they're not political.
What were you saying, Mo?
I said what I was saying is if you don't want to go there, you don't have to go there. The difference, I don't believe. I'm not saying that it's a safe space. What I'm saying is, protesting in a private place and protesting in a public forum are totally two different things.
Oh, no,
if you're in a public forum, protest all you want, but if you're in a private place, you have every right to be kicked out of it. Every right.
Oh, and actually, or ironically enough, this is this is exactly kind of the point I was trying to make about Chick-fil-A.
Right, you don't have to either if you don't want to. They're not making a political statement. They stick by they're keeping their integrity intact. While you may not agree with it, it's their integrity, not yours.
Yes, you're 100% correct, because this is the thing about Chick-fil-A. They're not trying to force their political beliefs or anything like that upon you. If you want to eat at Chick-fil-A, by all means, go eat at Chick-fil-A. If you don't, congratulations. You can go to Burger King or McDonald's or whatever the fuck else you want. They don't give a shit.
It's the same thing that happened to In-N-Out Burger, right? It's the same thing, to be honest, in a different manner, that just happened to Taco Bell, where the one person who couldn't speak or refused to speak English to the person trying to order the food, all right, and they said, no, you have to speak Spanish, you have to order in Spanish, all right, got fired.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Right? People are looking to make larger points against these corporations or for these corporations and drag them into the political arena rather than the political arena, you know, them themselves stepping into the political arena. You understand what I'm saying? Where they're coming out of their way to make these kind of political statements. All right, I think that the most that Chick-fil-A ever did was somebody was looking through the records and they found out that on the gay marriage issue, the anti-gay marriage issue that was going in California, Chick-fil-A had the ownership or the directorship of the Chick-fil-A had given some money to the anti-gay marriage campaign. They weren't promoting themselves as anti-gay. They weren't doing commercials saying gays shouldn't come here to eat, you know. So I don't see them necessarily from that perspective getting involved in politics. At least that doesn't seem to be the same way with me. It's the same thing like Taco Bell. Taco Bell wasn't saying we only have people that speak Spanish. You know, they weren't trying to do anything like that. They just got dragged into it.
Well, no, and that's ridiculous considering my friend who's from El Salvador, he refuses to eat fucking Taco Bell because that's American fucking food.
Taco Bell's
not fucking. Yeah. Yeah, so that's just a ridiculous thing to begin with.
Well, and also, if anybody's ever had, you know,
authentic
food that's, you know, even legitimate Tex-Mex, if Taco Bell's crap. Like,
oh yeah.
There's a Mexican restaurant I like to go to that's really good, and they serve authentic Mexican food, not Taco Bell shit. You know, you have cilantro on there, fucking. They won't even put cheese on there unless you ask, because they usually don't do that. But yeah, like, I don't know. There's better food than Taco Bell.
I like some decent barbacoa and, you know, carnitas and shit, and I'm not gonna get that at Taco Bell. That's for damn sure.
No, they're gonna give you bland food. That's what fast food restaurants do. They give you bland freaking food.
Right.
Yeah, the thing, and honestly, just to make a point, we have now made fast food restaurants, of all fucking things, we're making fast food restaurants fucking political. What? Like, really? This is the point we're at. We're looking at the political affiliations and the political leanings of fucking fast food restaurants.
Dade has a story, and it's not political and doesn't want to talk politics for a little bit.
This is why I don't come on to live streams. All you guys do is bullshit about politics. Mostly, it gets tiring. I'm more of a morals and ethics type person, which cannot be political. But you guys were talking about tacos. I've always found out that the best tacos that I've ever had aren't really the ones that you buy the ingredients from the store, because a lot of times they're really just like manufactured type stuff. But if you actually go to a authentic, genuine Mexican restaurant, it blows everything else out of the water. 99% of the times, the stuff like Taco Bell is considered actually Tex-Mex, and they put way too much spice. But yes, Taco Bell does suck. So
he's not wrong.
That being said, I had a very interesting, you know, I think the next time I do a live stream, it's going to be It's going to be the adventures of Dade in grocery stores, because every time I'm on a live, it's true. Every time I'm on a live stream, I always have some weird ass things like, "Hey, I went to the grocery store today," and you'll never guess what happened. And Mad Dodge can attest to this. Almost every time I'm on his live stream, something from me going to the grocery store always happens. Or I always tell people, like, I went to the grocery store. So anyway, I'm at the grocery store today, picking up some bratwurst, and I'm doing my weekly grocery shopping. Now, I need to make this clear because the way that the story is going to be presented, I might sound like the bad guy, but that's not the intention. I have nothing against service animals. There are rules and laws in place for why we allow service animals to be in a grocery store. If you do not follow those, then you should be in trouble, because technically a grocery store has fresh food as well as canned and pre-made, which OSHA and government places like that can get on your ass, and they can cause problems for not staying the way that fresh and the way they are with cross-contamination. So I'm in the grocery store today, and this dude walks by with this white dog. I believe it is a service dog. I couldn't tell you what breed it was. It was very pretty though. It was about the size of a Dalmatian, so not really super big. And the dude walks by everybody, and nobody's saying anything. And I walk up to the counter at the butcher. Well, I don't know what the fuck they call it these days, but I basically call him the butcher. You know, where you go back and you get your fresh cut meats and everything. And I said to him, and I just kind of, glanced at the guy with the dog walking by, because it's not something that you see every day in my town. You don't see people with service dogs every day. And the guy was walking through, and I said to the two folks behind the counter, I said, in a very, normal voice, I said, is that a service dog? And the dude was all the way at the other end. I'm talking literally 50 feet away. And I was not yelling this. I was not complaining. I asked like a very normal tone like this. I said, is that a service dog? And they go, yeah. And I go, it is? Wow, you don't see those every day. And before I could finish saying, wow, that's something you don't see every day, the dude who was literally 50 feet away starts going on a rampage about it's discriminatory, I'm going to sue this place and all this other stuff, and starts cussing out the staff. Literally starts calling the staff names, saying that he's going to, he's flipping the fuck out. And he's calling the staff names, saying that he's going to kick their ass and that he was going to sue this place for discrimination and everything else. And I yelled and I literally am 50 feet away, and I projected my voice. And I said, hey, nobody said anything about your dog. Nobody said anything that you couldn't have a dog on here. I asked if it was a service dog. And he goes, yeah, so? And I said, well, where's the vest? He doesn't have to have a vest. And then it was like everybody in the store just turned and looked at that guy and said, basically, yes, the dog does. In Iowa, at least I know in Iowa, when a service dog comes through, it is required that the dog has the accoutrements or garments that basically say, I'm a service dog, do not pet me.
Yeah, that's the same thing in Oregon. Yeah.
And so this dude was about 6'4", kind of lanky, like a scarecrow kind of thing. He wasn't really built. And I'm only 5'12". I'm rather husky. I'm not fat. I'm husky, and I've got muscle underneath me. I'm an Iowan farm boy. And I said to the guy, I said, nobody was saying anything that you couldn't be in here with your dog. I just simply asked if you had a service dog, because it's something you don't see every day. And you're going on cussing and swearing at all the staff. He goes, yeah. And I said, well, then maybe you need to leave. And he goes, well, maybe you need to come outside and I'll kick your ass. And I said, really? You're gonna now let me finish this. I said, really? You're gonna go that route? And he goes, yeah, so. And I said, and you know what was the worst part? That dog was about ready to piss itself. This dog was not an attack dog. So imagine the voices echoing through the entire store.
So it's probably more of a therapy dog.
Yeah. And imagine how scared that dog was. That
just pisses me off.
Well, let me finish. So I said to the guy, I said, look, buddy, I don't appreciate you yelling at the staff. I don't appreciate you swearing at the staff. I don't appreciate you cussing at me. And I don't care if you want to throw down or not. If you're going to throw down or not, you're going to do it in the store, and you're going to do it right now. I called him out right then and there. And now and I think Mad Dodge, you've heard my voice get really pissy. I mean, like I sounded like I was angry. And so imagine that. What's the word? Well, when sound carries very heavily through a store, it's a resounding, reverberating. Thank you. It was reverberating heavily. And I said to the guy, I said, man, if you're going to throw punches, you're going to do it here. I'm not going to go outside. I'm not going to give you the time of day. If you're going to kick my ass, you're going to do it here. So he's walking, and he's literally dragging the dog because the dog did not want to come near me. It's a very beautiful dog. No, he didn't walk out. He walked right by me, stood face to face with me, and he goes,
Sugar, we lost Dodge.
Oh, he'll be back. He said he was going to F5 real fast. And so I called the guy out, and everybody's waiting for this big fight to break out. And I'm just standing there with stuff in my hand. And I'm just like, dude, are you going to throw a punch or what? And he goes, and all he does is go right in my face. And I'm like, that's it. You walk 50 feet down here, you cuss at me and you swear at me and you try to say that you're going to sue the store for discrimination and all you're going to do is blow on my face. He goes, yeah, what are you going to do? I said, I'm not going to do anything. And then he's failing to realize that all three managers are literally right behind him. And he raises, here's the catch, he raises his hand up to throw a punch at me. And I said, go ahead, hit me. I'm tapping my chin. I'm like, yeah, come on, big man, hit me. And my voice is like, my voice is just like ready, I'm like, I'm ready to scrap. I don't roll that way. I don't appreciate people being yelled at in the store for doing their job. And none of the staff engaged with him in the first place. It was me because I asked the simple questions because, again, you don't see a service dog every day here in Iowa. And if you do, it's one of those things that, kids will want to go up and pet it, and you have to say to the kids, no, leave the doggy alone. So the guy's getting ready to swing at me. And the manager of the store literally is about the same height as he is, but this dude's built like a shit brick house. I'm talking like the juggernaut, like Vinnie Jones. This is how big the manager was. Oh. Grabs his arm with literally his thumb and his pointer finger, like dude got bear paws, and says, I think you need to leave the store. And I'm just standing there with this big shit-eating grin on my face. And he is escorted out. And he says, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to have you arrested for discrimination and for him trying to intimidate me. The dog was left in the store. The guy got escorted, and the dog's sitting there in the middle of the store about fucking freaking out. So I finished my shopping, and guess what happens? The dog starts following me. I'm just like, okay, the dog's following me. I wonder why. So the dog's following me, and I grab the leash, and I go into the checkout. And two cops come walking in. Two Davenport cops come walking in. And I'm like, thinking, oh, God, now they're going to be waiting for me with pitchforks outside right about now. And the two officers come up to me. One's a big-time rookie. You can just tell how green he was. And the other one was very, like he's about ready to retire. So the older cop says to me, can we speak with you outside? I said, no, you may not. I'm in the middle of purchasing food. He says, well, can we have the dog back? I said, yes, you may. I handed the leash over to the senior officer, and the officer's like, all right, well, we're going to come back, and we're going to have to ask you some questions. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be right here. And I'm checking out and everything. And so the management comes back up, the big shithouse, fucking juggernaut, Vinnie Jones-looking dude, and the two assistant managers. And so they're literally – so imagine Vinnie Jones standing behind you with his arms crossed. That was the manager. And he's like literally behind me, towering over me. And the rookie cop comes back in, shorter than I am, looks at the manager and is about ready to piss himself. So the senior officer comes in and says, well, is it? He says, hey, I just got one question. I said, yeah. And he goes, did you assault this guy? And I said, nope. He goes, no. And I said, nope. And the manager forked over the disc and says, here's the incident on disc. If you have any questions, you can talk to us. We'll be glad to answer any questions, and we will represent our, date as well. Senior officer's like, nope, that's fine. We don't need the disc. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, because he said that he was assaulted, and the manager's like, nope. And the manager just turned around and says, oh, by the way, he was the one that was threatening my guys at the butcher. I don't know what the hell they call it, but basically the butcher guys. And Dade stepped in and said he wasn't going to tolerate any of our staff being yelled at. The senior officer's like, oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you for your time. Sorry to bother you. We're going to go. Then the rookie cop says, well, don't we have to take him downtown for causing a disturbance? And the senior officer's like, no. Well, he took the guy's dog, right? And I said, actually, that dog started following me for some reason, which is why you think I forked it over, because this is a service dog, and it needs to go back with its owner, because this dog ain't going to know what to do. So then the rookie cop starts, getting stupid with me. And I turned to him and I said, how long have you been on the force? And he goes, about 6 months. I said, okay. What are you, like 22 or something? He goes, 23. And I said, well, I'm practically old enough to be your dad. So let me give you a nickel's worth of free advice. And these senior officers, got his arms crossed, trying to see how this is going to play out. And I'm literally 2 arms length away from the rookie cop. I said, let me give you a nickel's worth of free advice. He goes, yeah, what? And I said, don't come in a store with an attitude. Don't come into a store where people are buying groceries with a gung-ho attitude. This is why people go after police officers, because you act like a dick, they ain't going to trust you. Oh, well, you got a problem with me? And the senior officer grabs him by his coat. And I swear to Christ, it was like he was grabbing him by his shirt tail and drags him out and says, don't embarrass me in the store ever again. And that was the end of it.
Oh, man.
That is, I mean, I have not had a fucking weird-ass incident like that ever in my life, all because the guy who owned the dog did not have he had the papers. Yeah, it was a service dog. It was proven, but he didn't have the vest, and he didn't have any of the accoutrements required in the state of Iowa for a service dog. He lost his shit all because somebody says, hey, is that a service dog? Just like that. Hey, is that a service dog? Oh, and before you say, oh, that's, dog's cute. You don't see those every day. Dude fucking flips out. And I'm thinking, this is my life. I mean, I just go into the grocery store to buy bratwurst. Next thing I know, I'm getting yelled at by a guy with a service dog. What the fuck did I do this morning that deserves this?
Well, no, and I can't believe the guy actually swung on you. I thought he was disabled, and that's why he has a service dog. That's kind of weird.
Well, he's not disabled in the fashion that he couldn't see. He's legally blind, but it was in one eye. It was in his left eye, so he can't drive for shit, which is why he has the service dog. So his depth perception isn't all that great, but he's also a right-hander. So that was the hand he had up ready to swing at me. But it's one of those things, Dodge. I'm telling you. It's like, people tell me, my parents occasionally tell me, Dade, with your mouth, you're going to get in trouble one of these days. I'm not saying shit 99% of the time throughout my day. When I go into a store, if I know the people, I address them by their first name. But if I don't know the person, it's either yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. The guy just fucking flipped out on me. And it's just like, all he had to do was simply say, yes, I have the papers for my service dog, and no, I don't have the vest. Nobody would have cared.
Well, and also something even more irritating. If you're someone in uniform, I would expect a little bit more professionalism, just a little bit. But
that's exactly what I told the rookie cop. I said, with an attitude like that, it's a wonder why people have an attitude against the police. And it was good that he had a senior officer, that the senior officer was there, because the senior officer was like 10 years older than I was. And he, it's one of those things where you live in a town and everybody knows everybody. Unfortunately, sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. Well, this time was good. He goes, yeah, I know your uncle. And I'm like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, yeah. And so the senior officer had 30 years under his belt. He knew how to handle the job. And which the funniest part was of the whole thing. The whole thing is, it breaks down to two things. There is no hero and no villain to the story. It's just like completely, the train has gone off the rails, unbelievably odd. And then the second one was the fact that the senior police officer grabs the rookie by his shirt tail, basically, and said, don't ever embarrass me in the store ever again. Which leads me to believe that senior officer shops there.
Exactly. That's the thing. You respect the uniform because at the end of the day, you're there to serve your community. It's the same thing that irritates me about politicians. And it's why I hate the idea of a quote unquote career politician. You're a public servant. You're there to do good by your constituents. You're not elevated because of the fact that you're a politician or because of the fact that you wear a uniform or because of the fact that you wear a badge. You're there to make sure you do good by your community. End of story. If you can't do that, you don't deserve the position that you actually hold. End of fucking story.
Well, the moral of this entire story was, it's not a political issue. It's not even a Blue Lives Matter kind of thing. It was the fact that this guy who had his service dog decided, I'm wondering if he wasn't on his medication. And I felt bad for the dude because it's kind of like, okay, you're bent out of shape. You're willing to swing on a guy who's about 5 inches shorter than you, but is trained in Taekwondo, is older than you, has more life experience than you, know how the laws work, and you're freaking your dog out. Because the dog basically about was ready to pee in the middle of the store, and I felt bad for that dog. Very beautiful dog. It was white and had blue eyes.
Yeah, but did he know anything about you? You
no,
said
that and that's
knows everybody, but you didn't say whether or not he knew who you were.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the whole trick, which is why it was like this is one of those things that just sucks all the way around. I don't think the dude was from that area.
Sounds like a lab, actually.
And Davenport is part of the Quad Cities, so he may have been from the Illinois side. He may have been from Bettendorf or something, and it's just one of those things. But I felt real bad for the guy because I don't think he was on his meds, and he apparently did not have, and I'm not trying to make him out to be the villain. I think he genuinely was not on his meds because he just flipped out over the fact that I mentioned, hey, I questioned, hey, is that a service dog? Even before I could say, oh, that's cute. You don't see those very often. Dude goes off the rails. I don't think he was on his meds, and I felt really bad about the whole thing. But what I didn't feel bad about was telling that junior officer, you really need to knock your bullshit off, let's not take this down the political route because I don't like that. But it's the morals and the ethics of this was a no-win scenario. And it all boils down to what people seem to have the problem with these days is lack of communication.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think you handled yourself very well. It could have been a lot worse. I think you handled the situation very, very well. Obviously you don't see service dogs very often. I live right outside of DC. I've seen people with service dogs rather frequently, and hell, the dog that you encountered actually seems a lot more well behaved than some of the service dogs that I've fucking seen. Yeah. I can tell you that much.
Well, there is only one other person that I actually happen to know. I'm not going to name her, but she does have a service dog. And whenever and it's a very tiny thing. It's kind of like one of those things you snicker at, like seeing, and it's not a Chihuahua, but it's a smaller dog. And it's one of those things that you just chuckle at because you think that, that dog's so small you can put it in your purse kind of thing. And it is. But that dog wears the vest. That dog has the sign that says, please do not pet, service dog. So the other person that I actually know that shops there as well, and I very rarely run into her, when she has the service dog, that dog is wearing the appropriate gear. And everybody knows that if you try to get funny with the dog, somebody's going to say, hey, man, leave that dog alone. Because you never know how that dog's going to act. Not because the dog is going to act poorly, but because that dog is trained to do a specific job. And if you take that dog out of this routine, it may freak out on you.
Yeah, and it might fuck you up. And
But it's more along the lines that you don't know how the dog's going to react. So when I left, I had, here's the thing that did irritate me. I was actually kind of insulted by this because, again, lack of communication. And it's not offensive. I wasn't offended. It was insulting because people presume that I did something good and that person did something bad when they don't know the full scenario. I had 2 or 3 people come out and want to shake my hand. Yeah, you sure showed that guy. And I'm like, no. None of this was okay. I don't know what you got. What is your problem? Well, you don't have to get so offended. And I said, I'm not offended. I'm insulted that you think, and I said nothing against you, buddy, but you think this is, yeah, I sure showed that guy when it was a no-win scenario. The guy's like, what's a no-win scenario? And his wife turns right around, and here's what the part made it all bearable. His wife turns around and says, you thinking you're going to get laid tonight?
Oh, fuck.
And I just looked at her, and I rolled my eyes, and I snickered, and I got in my car, and I left. Now, there's a part 2 to this story.
Of course
Define the word. Oh, yeah, it gets better. Define the word irony. I had finished grocery shopping and went to my gym. Guess who was there? The guy with the service dog.
Oh, boy.
Guess what happened? Absolutely nothing.
You?
Nope, absolutely nothing.
Well, no, what I was going to say a little bit earlier is here in Oregon, people will just buy the vest on Amazon, throw it on their dog, and pretend it's a service dog. You can tell that it's not, though, by the way the dog acts. But people do that all the time so they can just take their pet into any store they want, on the bus, what have you, because, it's a service dog. So, it is a fair question. Is that a service dog? That's a fair fucking question.
Well, I think I told, and to relate back to something I think I told you I think I talked to you about this last week, Mad Dodge. When I went to a Pizza Hut to eat lunch, there was a kid there that had a gun on his hip, and it was open carry, and he had his permit. And, the guys that were giving him attitude about that. Well, it's the same thing that if I see a person with a gun on their hip, and I can presume, and the way that their body language is being expressed, the way that they're walking and talking to people, you can presume that they have a permit, and you can legally go say, hey, man, you got a permit for that? And they would say, yeah, would you like to see it? It's like, no, that's cool. You know that if they're willing to say that odds are they have a permit and they are more than happy to show it to you. Well, when you ask a person if you have a service, if that's a service dog, it's not unreasonable to ask, because people, again, abuse the system, and that when people do genuinely, authentically have service dogs, they're getting bitched at for it because somebody else is misbehaving. So it becomes the problem of you need to have good communication. And again, like I said, I think the dude was off his meds, and I felt really bad. Now I do feel bad about that because I've been there, done that, and I've seen other people been there, done that. But it genuinely was a no-win scenario, and it was honestly insulting how ignorant some people are, thinking, well, yeah, you sure showed him. And it's just completely the most bizarre thing that's happened to me the entire weekend. It's kind of like, this is a good morals and ethics debate. It's not really political, because you can keep it along the moral and ethical lines of, well, how do you deal with an encounter like this? And
you keep your cool.
Honestly, I would say you handled the situation exactly as you should have. I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Actually, I agree with you, Doku. Yeah, that's probably how I would have handled it. But I'm not really nosy. I'm more of the whatever. If I see, well, here in Oregon, we don't have permits for open carry. So if I see somebody carrying a gun on their hip, then I don't need to ask them about a permit. And if I see a service dog that's acting normal, like a service dog just sitting there right with its owner on the bus or whatever, then I don't need to ask. Now, if this dog is running up to everybody, trying to jump in their laps and fucking everything else,
then odds are it's not a service dog.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just use observation instead of being direct like you are. But no, you were right in this situation.
I wasn't actually direct at all. Direct would ensue that I actually went up and asked the dude, is that a service dog? The dude had already walked by me and gone down 50 feet down the aisle, and how the hell he heard me, I couldn't tell you, because I was standing next to the people in the butcher shop portion of the store, like I'm talking to you guys, just kind of like, hey, is that a service dog? Huh, neat. You don't see those very often. It's a service dog, blah, 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 F you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, calm your tits. I literally said to the dude, calm your tits.
They do say when you lose one sense, your others get better. So potentially when his eyesight went to hell, potentially his hearing got better.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable, but I'll tell you, I felt bad for the dude, but he was kind of being a knob. But nobody was accusing him of not being able to have that dog in there. And he could have squashed it if he said, yeah, I got a permit, mind your business. I would have just been like, all right, whatever. But
yeah,
he went down the other path. And he says, he basically started swearing at the staff. He swore and threatened me. And I'm thinking, okay, you're just raising all sorts of red flags here. And then to say to the store and the people in the butcher portion of the shop, I'm going to sue you and I'm going to contact a lawyer and all this other stuff. I'm thinking, okay, in the long run, I was thinking, at the time, I don't think that was a service dog. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it was. We found out that it was. But just, do you really go off on somebody? Morally, do you have the moral authority to flip the fuck out over that? And is it ethically necessary to be a knob? Over a simple matter of, oh yeah, it's a service dog, I got the papers, I just don't have the vest. Nobody would have gave a shit.
Well, it's so ironic that you bring that up, because I've known a few people that have had service dogs. But there was one dude who I met at my local gas station that's literally right down the street from me. I mean, maybe like, fuck. If it's a half a mile, that's close as shit. This dude didn't have a service dog. He had a frickin' parrot. And, it was, don't touch the parrot. The parrot will fuck your shit up. And he would walk around and he would have a gun on him. He's ex-military. And this parrot would just chill on his shoulder. But the thing is, don't touch the parrot. The parrot will fuck your shit up. Because it's not a pet. It's there so that you can, it's there to deal with PTSD and shit like that. You do not touch the bird. If the bird jumps on your shoulder, you still don't touch the bird. It's the same kind of thing with a service dog.
Dade, the dog is there. Polly want a lead salad?
Yeah, Polly want a lead salad? Sorry, that's all I could think of.
No, I mean, I'm gonna laugh. That bird actually did jump on my shoulder and started trying to prune my frickin' ear, which was not a pleasant experience, to say the least.
Yeah, no,
they've got a strong ass beak, to say the least.
Yeah, but my freaking wife's so my mother-in-law, she has a bird that's probably gonna come stay at my house again. I hate this fucking bird. I don't trust birds. They will bite the shit out of you, especially parrots and shit. The talking birds, they are the fucking meanest. They'll tell you to fuck off as they bite you.
You need a trank gun. You need a trank.
Oh yeah, they can be mean. They can be really mean.
Birds are only mean if you don't know how to treat them.
Well, that's the same with any animal. If you train them to be assholes, they're going to be assholes.
Oh, and that's the thing. This bird was essentially the equivalent of a therapy dog. It's just
I have two
I was
fairly large snakes.
standing in line.
I have a freaking tarantula the size of my hand and about 30 mice, and I feed all of the mice to the snakes and the spiders.
You have a tarantula.
Wait, are you insane?
How's that working out for you?
Snakes are gonna break out, and the tarantula's gonna break out, and they're all gonna fucking plot against your life. They're evil animals. Did you not see the videos I was posting in Discord yesterday?
We don't watch your videos. They're bullshit.
These snakes are fucking evil.
I have a bird eater tarantula. It's going to get about the size of a fucking dinner plate.
Oh, you have one of those South American tarantulas. Oh man, those are gnarly.
No, if I ever came over to visit, I'd walk in the house, I'd see this fucking spider, and be like, nope, I'm out.
It's only shed twice. It's not even full grown yet.
No, see, the thing is, the bird-eating tarantulas aren't that bad. If you really want something terrifying, get one of the giant centipedes. Those things are scary. Oh, fuck.
Centipedes are dangerous. I ain't fucking around with centipedes.
Oh yeah, they'll screw you over. Those things are mean.
I had a friend who caught a fucking black widow and kept it in a jar, and I'm like, you're insane, dude. What if some drunk idiot fucking knocks that jar down? There goes the fucking black widow. Have fun. Good night.
Surprisingly enough, a black widow bite will usually not kill you. It'll hurt like hell, but it won't kill you.
Usually,
multiple times.
Fair enough. Okay, so I do have one last topic since Dade is here. It's far from politics. Kind of.
Kind of.
It is kind of because it's CBS politics. Kind of. CBS is in a lawsuit with the creator of a video game over Star Trek Discovery.
CBS, who cares? I don't care.
You don't care?
No, I don't give a shit about CBS. I don't give a shit about CBS or any of the big three. They're all doing this shit to themselves. And you talked about this the other day or something, and I didn't care then either.
Yeah, they're murdering the fucking franchise.
Sure, let them. I don't give a shit. The one thing that I tell people is all the stuff that they're coming out with now does not negate the stuff that you grew up with as a child or as a young adult. I remember, and this isn't a political thing, this is simply a storytelling thing. I remember when people were complaining left, right, and center about J.J. Abrams doing the Star Trek movies, and I said, this doesn't negate anything from the 1960s or the movies from the 70s and 80s that you grew up with. And I said, it's even if it's a reboot, who cares? It doesn't say that...
They really fucked up.
Sorry, I had to belch there. It doesn't, it doesn't negate anything that you grew up with. But Star Wars did, on the other hand. They basically said, F the continuity, everything from Disney Star Wars is now canon. And then they got such a burn for it, they backpedaled, oh, well, we're calling it legacy. And it's like, nope, you guys are done. And so when everybody's like, yay, Kathleen Kennedy's out. No, she just got re-signed for another 3 years through Disney. Happy cringing, your Star Wars is officially fucked. And I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap about this stuff.
What was the last Star Wars movie you actually watched? Mine would be I didn't even watch the Han Solo thing. I think it'd be fucking the first episode that Disney put out, and I'm like, nope, not anymore. Done.
I watched The Force Awakens, and I was vehemently against watching it. And then a friend of mine, an ex-friend of mine, Kim, said to me, Dade, do yourself a favor. I said, what? And she goes, go into this as a moviegoer. And I said, a moviegoer. She goes, yep. And I said, okay. The flip switched, and I said, interesting. It's got potential. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you remember when Star Wars first came out, and I don't call them episode 4, 5, and 6. When I say Star Wars, I refer to Star Wars, not 4, 5, and 6. And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, we had a middle, beginning, and end to that, and it, had an open ending thing, that you could, you had the characters come in and kind of know what they were about. Han Solo had a little bit of character growth, and Luke had a little bit of character growth, and the princess really didn't because she was already, cemented in her position as a character. And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, you have the same thing here. That's really like with any series that you start with. And I said, they've got potential. You know, and I said, I'm sure you could question things left, right, and center about this movie, but these characters have potential. And the next movie came out and they wasted it. And I said, nope, I'm out. And she goes, what? And I said, I was really, you know, as a moviegoer, willing to give Star Wars a chance. And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, Star Trek from Abrams did something that Star Wars couldn't do, and I don't like the Abrams Star Trek. And she goes, what? And I said, they gave their characters growth. There was the growth of Kirk, Spock, Uhura, almost every character except McCoy, because, well, McCoy's the curmudgeon. That's just the way it is. But, and as for much as I hate the three movies, and I hate especially the Sulu aspect, because, and George Takei has gone on record saying that Sulu isn't gay, so that's the end of the story with that. Well, right. I don't like those movies, but I don't have to like them. But I also don't have to tell people don't go see them. If you want to watch them, great. Go watch them, enjoy them. If you like them, enjoy them. If you enjoy them, great. But don't tell me. I don't care. I said the same thing, and I said the same thing about Star Wars. I said, The Force Awakens, the characters had a lot of potential. The Last Jedi came out, that all went out the window.
Well, no, The Last Jedi was just bad, though. That was just not a good movie.
Let God talk.
Yeah, I'll confess a guilty pleasure. The first movie my wife and I ever saw when we were dating together was Star Trek 09. I like it for sentimental purposes. So, yes, I'll say I liked it.
And there's nothing wrong with that movie. That's actually quite good. From a movie standpoint, that's a good movie. They explain why everything that came before it still is relevant. They did that right. So love or hate the Star Wars movies or the Star Trek movies in the franchise, I don't really care. I'm done with all of it. I don't have to like it. But then I tell everybody the same thing. Nobody's forcing you to watch this. Nobody's forcing you to buy this stuff. Nobody's forcing you to read these comics. Nobody's forcing you to do any of this. I mouth off to Chris Evans all the time on Twitter. And I'm waiting for him to block my ass or get bumped for it. Because every time he opens his sanctimonious pie hole, I call him on it. And I don't care who the celebrity is.
Dude, I got in a fucking argument with the guy that played Geordi once on Twitter. He didn't block me, though. Thank God. Because I was like, no, don't block me. Yeah.
Oh, my. How do you get in? I don't even want to know how you get into it with LeVar Burton. I've met the man. He's very nice.
I know. I felt bad.
And so it's like I tell a lot of people, it's all about morals and ethics. You have to leave certain things. There's ethos, logos, and pathos. If things don't abide by those on a certain level, I don't give a shit. Nobody, and I will say this for all time, nobody's telling you that you have to watch these things. Nobody's telling you that you have to buy these things. And then it's the people, you really got to wonder how much they take their shit way too seriously or how boring their life is to take something like Star Wars to complete utter fuckery. I commented in the chat earlier. I've been watching Rick and Morty, and it's okay. I get a kick out of it. It's actually quite funny on certain levels. But the one thing I said was like, I said, if Rick is Morty's grandpa, why does Morty always call Rick Rick? Why don't you call him Grandpa? Because if you watch the other characters, they will say your dad or Grandpa, or the parents will call Rick by like Grandpa or Dad or father-in-law or whatever. And I just thought that was hilarious. And this whole thing was brought up because earlier I was watching the top 10 fan overreactions from top 10s, and I thought, and one of them was the whole Szechuan sauce fuck up.
Oh,
and I was just like, oh my fucking God, people are insane. And to be fair, I used to have that similar issue, but I grew out of it. Like when I was younger, it was all, oh, it's this band and nothing but this band. And then I realized I was denying myself the experience of good music. So I got my head out of my ass, and it's like, oh, and it's like, oh, these bands were influenced by these bands. And then I started listening to those bands, and so you kind of go from what you like, and then you start, expanding outward and getting a little family tree of music that, you like and everything. And the same goes for books. The same goes for movies. And the same goes for television shows if you're inclined to watch music, them.
Opera, heavy metal, death metal.
classical and opera. God, I can't stand
How
it.
the hell can you hate classical and opera?
But you guys get the general idea. In regards to certain things, nobody's forcing anybody to watch the stuff or buy the stuff. And as far for, CBS and all these guys, I don't give a shit. Fuck them. They can come over to my house and serve me a subpoena.
No, we can talk about
kiss my
movies.
ass.
We can talk about movies for a little bit longer until we wrap it up.
No, you were just asking me what I thought about CBS. I said they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, no,
ABC did the same thing with Last Man Standing. Fox is basically like, yeah, we don't care. And yes, there was a political thing behind this because the characters were written a certain way. Fox is like, we don't give a shit. We'll pick it up. And Fox's ratings are fucking through the roof because everybody likes Last Man Standing. Because the other stations are dropping the ball. That's
now you're
poor
wanting me
business.
to talk about Roseanne, but I'm not.
No. I'm just saying.
I'm interrupting everyone. What's your favorite movie of all time?
I don't have one.
Young Guns 2, and everybody hates me for it, but I love that movie.
I just like picking. I like picking on you. There's a difference, but I don't have a favorite movie. I think there are movies throughout stages in my life that I thought were the best. Like when I was a kid, I thought Grease was the tits. I love that, and it's a good movie. It still is great. When I was younger, I thought Transformers the movie from 1986 was the best, and in '89 Batman, and then so certain stages in my life, certain movies have a specific meaning. But I don't have a favorite movie. It's impossible for me to have a favorite movie.
Oh, Dade, I gotta jump in there. The fucking '89 Batman. That's the first movie I actually remember watching in the drive-in. And I remember the cup that I kept from it. Like that's like my first movie memory is that movie. So like I love that fucking movie.
I had a kick in the pants watching that.
George Romero's The Thing. Oh.
Ooh. I had a kick in the pants watching that because that was the first time I ever figured out what an intermission was. Because I was at Wisconsin Dells when I watched it, and they stopped the film, and I walked out to my parents and said, I think the film broke. And they go, what? And I said, well, the film just stopped. We've only been in for 45 minutes. My mom turns around, Dade, and I go, yeah, Mom. She goes, turn your ass around, go get some snacks, and go back to the movie, or you're going to not be able to finish it. Okay, so I went in, and I had snacks, and I had the bat cup, that was the black cup with the bat symbol on it and everything.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there drinking my Mountain Dew and all this other stuff. Finished the movie, and I walked out, and I said, why did you tell me that? I was saying that's what's called an intermission, sweetie. They used to do that instead of people, sitting for a long time and going out for bathroom breaks and missing the movies. And I'm thinking, and I said, oh, okay. And now that all these movies are easily over 2 hours, I'm like, they need to do intermissions more often, but they won't.
Oh, yeah, you talk about intermissions. My first thing with intermissions was Gone with the Wind. Loved
How old
movie.
Are you, 90?
No, but it was the first time I ever come across an intermission. I love that movie.
Yeah, because they show it on the videotape. Yeah.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Oh damn! Now you're making me feel fucking old.
I'm the oldest one here.
I love that movie. It's still one of my all-time favorite movies. But
yeah, they do that. They do the same thing with like the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. They on these other, and I don't know if they do them on the modern releases, but when the videotapes first came out, they would say, here's like an intro and an intermission, and then and all this other stuff. That's to give you a break from the movie.
And I'm only going to be 32 in 10
you're still
days.
Young yet. You're still young.
Yeah, I'm younger than you.
No, I mean everybody on this panel is younger than me. But
it's just maybe you're making me feel freaking old because, dude, go see Madam Butterfly. Holy crap!
MC is older than you.
Yeah, but he's not here right now.
He's eating steak.
I don't care that he's eating steak
by now.
I don't care he's eating ice cream either.
But okay.
As long as him and me stay the fuck away from this live stream while I'm on it, everything is fine. I love those guys, but they fucking bitch at each other over the stupidest shit, and I this is why I don't talk politics.
I love MC and memes.
Well,
I do too, but only from a distance.
Well, no,
I like talking bullshit, so I'm fucking entertained as hell.
Well, no, Dade, you DM'd me on Twitter yesterday, and I responded. Hit me up with when you want to do that, and I'll make a special Redeye for
that's what I wanted. I forgot what I was going to say. No, I just wanted to. I couldn't even remember what I wanted to talk about, but like as soon as the grocery store thing happened today, it's like, oh my god, it just seems to be a repeating pattern in my life lately. Every time I go to the grocery store, some bullshit happens. You know, I should turn this into an internet series. Dade's grocery store Dade part 1. You know, start wearing a body cam or some shit.
Dude, fucking do it.
If I had the money, I would. He's like, yeah, I'm going to the grocery store, and oh god damn it, Batman, go away.
No, but
I really don't want to laugh.
No, but Dade, I do have a question. All right.
Yeah.
You said you were okay with reboots, whatever. You don't have to watch them. What if they rebooted something like, I don't know.
They rebooted fucking Reboot. I was not impressed.
Almost everything's been reimagined.
No,
so there's
every reboot.
What if they reboot Pulp Fiction? They do a fucking reboot of Pulp Fiction.
It'll be all women.
Do you think that's going to be fucking okay?
It'll be all women.
That would kill me inside a little bit, man. Like Pulp Fiction, leave that alone.
Everything rebooted, like from the 70s and 80s, has been turned either into a really bad comedy, as Starsky Nuts and Chips, or the main character's been pussified out and there's been a
leave the political out of this.
Or they've turned him into fucking Power Rangers.
Political on the stream, not while I'm here.
Well, no,
but Batman brings up a very good point. Have you noticed that the reimaginings or the reboots or shows based on are all now at this point in time based on or rebooted from the 1980s? One of the many things that I've seen is like Stranger Things, to where everybody who's a 90s kid that is making movies and TV shows, they're opining for a decade they never lived in. So they're screwing it up. So we're going through a pattern, and I'm waiting for the pattern to shift to when they start touching the 1990s, so I can laugh at all you 90s kids and listen to your gnashing of teeth and wailing about how they touched your stuff and ruined it.
You know what makes me laugh about it? Like you said, like Stranger Things. About 10 years ago, when the Rage was doing stuff in the 70s.
Yes.
70s, a decade which is hugely documented. You know exactly what life was like there.
Yep.
We know the chain of events during the 70s. They get shit wrong.
And they still get it wrong. Exactly.
And they get it wrong in the 80s stuff as well.
Yep. And it makes you wonder how late, and I think we all know the answer to this, but it makes a person wonder exactly how lazy they are. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to make a comparison here. Stephen King's It. I don't want any opinions on this. I'm making a simple observation. A lot of Stephen King movies, but more so recently It, has been done in a TV miniseries where the kids, I think in the TV miniseries, they were kids in the 60s. Well, now that the part 1 of the movie is done, they were kids in the 80s. And that's one of the things that they seem to do properly, because a lot of Stephen King properties have been able to shift through time and adapt fairly well. For as much as you do or do not like the Stephen King stuff, there's just something that you can be learned from.
Well, I have to cut in. And I'm cutting in over you, Batman, which is I'm cutting in for you. You just donated $6.52 to Streamlabs and said, "Screw you, Mad Dodge." Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, well, you keep complaining. But no, the thing about the Stephen King stuff is, you do something wrong in a Stephen King serialization that he does not like, he will find his way into your bedroom and he will kill you.
Well, only after he cashes the paycheck.
Yeah, while you sleep.
All right, I just got to point this out. As someone who's been following the whole, specifically the Comicsgate thing and all of that kind of crap, here's my thing.
Don't leave Dade.
Don't do it, Dade.
I don't necessarily care if you want to reimagine something or just tell a story or whatever. Just fucking tell a story. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't
That's
give
the
a
thing.
flying
Storytelling has been so piss poor lately because they don't have any actual capacity to write good stories. And I've mentioned this before. It's not
Thank
because
God.
it's not
I
because
fucking agree.
we're running out of ideas. We've always run out of ideas. We always rehash stuff, but it's getting to the point where
they're using it for the wrong things.
Exactly. They really are.
That's the thing. Simpsons did it. You want to know why Simpsons did it? Because there's been so much fucking quote-unquote gatekeeping, because that's the term we're using, so let's just roll with it. There's been so much gatekeeping that there's no fucking decent talent anywhere, and it's just the same fucking rehashed bullshit over and over and over again. And now when we see fucking stories come out, be it comic books, video games, fucking Hollywood, take your fucking pick. Doesn't fucking matter.
I think that's part
it's all the same. Well, it's all the same shit. And what they're fucking trying to do is they're not even trying to fucking tell a decent story. They're not trying to tell a compelling story. They're trying to fucking appeal to this politically correct bullshit. And it's garbage. Because that's the only thing they're trying to do, and there's no fucking talent left.
Now, I don't want Dave to leave. Right?
They're lazy.
Hold on. I don't want Dave to leave, but I've got to say, I think that might be one of the real reasons behind Paramount coming down on the fan films, more so than Axanar. It's because they were producing miles better stuff than...
Oh, yeah. The fans come up with better stuff than what the people who are supposedly the professional, storytellers are.
Fans have more imagination.
Okay, you know what? I can give you a fucking flaming, undeniable example. How the flying fuck did 50 Shades of Grey become a movie?
Well, that's a good question. How did the Twilight series become a movie?
Oh God!
Because there's no decent talent left unless you want to be fucking politically correct about shit.
Well, it's not necessarily political correctness. It's the fact that everything goes through stages. When Twilight came out, and I make this as comparison, it was on the extremely tail end of the vampire craze because vampires have always been part of modern mythology. I'm a big Castlevania fan, so I'm pretty bitchy about the games. But
so you're like me when it comes to Resident Evil.
No, I'm not. And that's a subject for another day.
Resident Evil is
my point is, there has always been vampires in modern mythology for storytelling, and we've gone through phases where it's been really good. And it started with the classic Universal monsters for most people, but there have been movies before that.
You're saying there's always been vampires in modern mythology. There's just always been vampires, full stop. There's been since we could tell stories, we've been telling stories about vampires. So I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you're wrong at all.
I'm not being literal, Batman. I'm talking for the sake of modern storytelling.
Starting with Vampire Sparkle.
Starting with...
Oh, that's going to trigger me. Vampires do not sparkle.
Guys, stop. I'm simply making the point that things go through stages. That's how we got to Twilight, because it was the point of, well, how do we get this franchise to do something in this genre, but make it appeal to a certain demographic and make money off of it? That's what happens with every single franchise. That's why we go through what we're going through. And unfortunately, right now, the PC route, which thank Christ South Park has spoofed the shit out of this, or I'd go insane, is that particular trend. When it ends, I don't know, and I hope I'm around long enough to look at people who thought it was so great and piss on them.
Yeah, you're 100% right about the.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, let's try and get it. That's what the movie makers thought.
We might get stupid fangirls And by fangirls, I mean stupid fucking teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing.
Just teenagers.
Well, remember who's making the movies these days. It's not. It's not people of my parents' generation. It's the baby boomers. The baby boomers are taking their last grasp of authority before they start dying off. And they're trying to take as much money as they can from the generation that is easily manipulated, which is millennials and Gen Z, because they couldn't do it with Gen X because we saw through.
Generation frugal.
Just the millennial. Real quick. Dade is not wrong. The problem with it is that all of these franchises have been so incredibly successul, and there's no real talent that's actually trying to create something good at this point in time. They're just using the name to try to actually make money. And to be blunt, there's no good stories. There's
my opinion of the
there's nothing good anymore.
My opinion of the Twilight lot is, it's Stephanie Myers. She's a frustrated middle-aged woman, and she wants to get her eyes fucked up by some young buck, and this is just her frustrated sexual fantasies.
And there's the irony of that. The Stephanie Meyer, who wrote this stuff, is religiously a Mormon, which technically goes against their doctrine.
Yeah.
And the thing, and the flip side is that if it wasn't, and I think a lot of better people have talked on this than I have, at least storytelling wise, it set women back about 50 years.
Yeah.
And I can't go there. My daughter read the stuff and she's like, "This is shit." And I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "This is fucking bullshit." And I said, "What do you mean, sweetie?" She goes, "She's too codependent upon the character." I said, "Well, are the stories any good?" She goes, "No, they're boring." And I'm like, "Oh."
And she's also set up to be the most perfect girl in the world.
Well, okay, by perfect you mean a mopey, whiny little bitch, then yeah.
Here's the best example. When was the last good X-Men story?
Are you asking me personally?
I'm hoping the Gambit movie is good. I'm hoping the new Gambit movie.
What format are we talking? Are we talking overall? Are we talking movies? Are we talking comics?
Take your pick. Movies, comics, whatever.
I would think that if Comic Book Girl 19 made Danica, Comic Book Girl 19 made a very good point on this. She referenced the Chris Claremont era, which ran from 1975 to about 1992.
That's what I was going to say.
That is easily 17 years worth of very good stories, and there have been some after that. But the problem is, like with anything else, when do you realize you start running out of material? When do you realize that you're continually rehashing? Why do you think Marvel and DC, to say the least, have been continually rebooting their universes as to where people like that have been doing the independent stuff are starting out fresh because they've been able to stand on the sidelines and say, this isn't working. Let's get over here what is working. IDW has even had to fall on its sword. And I went on Twitter and I defended this, where people were bitching about the artwork, about the new guy taking over for G.I. Joe. And I said, he hasn't even done anything yet. You're complaining about the art. You need to let his telling of G.I. Joe stand or fall on the storytelling. The art is secondary. Aubrey Citizen took over for G.I. Joe and fucked it all up. Now, if I were a hardcore G.I. Joe kid from the 80s, I would be pissed off. But it's like, to me, this is stuff I don't want to read.
Yeah, I didn't read it, though. I just had the G.I. Joe toys and shit. But no, if they fuck up this Gambit movie, I'm done with the X-Men movies forever.
Again, nobody's telling you to watch these things.
Yeah. Oh, there is another reason why movies are getting progressively shite.
To keep the licensing.
It's not just that; it's the audiences.
Yeah.
Younger audiences, mainly like the millennials and that, they're not really bothered what's on the screen. That's not what they go there for. They go there. Yeah, it's a night out. They don't care what's on the screen. They just want something quick. They don't have to think about and then leave and do other stuff. Same with the TV.
You better hashtag not all them.
Definitely not all.
But it's an overall mentality. Gen X had the same issue. Although to be fair, really the last generation that you could go out when you get up at 5 in the morning, watch cartoon for 4 hours, and your parents and you're like, go out and play, just, don't come back till midnight and get away with it.
Get your ass outside.
Yeah.
And
then
I don't want to see you
in and out, and everybody's like, what, are you raised in a barn, close the fucking door? But ever since the advent of video games and the internet, kids have been basically engineered to, I want it now, I want it fast, I want it fast, I want it now, I want it fast, I want it now. And they don't know how to slow their asses down.
And it's all got to be indoors.
No.
And
I'm gonna disagree on something real quick. And here's the thing: as someone who's been following the comics thing, and I'm a comics nerd, in case you can't tell from my avatar.
That quite surprises me.
The thing that's irritating, and what's irritating about quote unquote Comicsgate is I don't give a flying fuck about this political correctness. I just want a decent product. I just want to read frickin' comic books. I want a good product. That's it.
That's the same with the people in Comicsgate for the vast majority. They don't care about the political correctness shit. They just want good stories again.
Yeah, I want a decent product. That's all I want.
Why you, as more of the comic book guy than I am, because I used to really love comic books until about 97. And, in 94, my life changed when my daughter was born. But, that's one of the things that when you get older, you realize there are younger people that have the passion like you have. And being the quote unquote elder statesman of the situation, would say, I don't have the strength to carry on about this. This is why I say what I say. Either, nobody's forcing you to buy this, so on and so forth. If you have passion and fire and you want to say, hey, go out and get some good books, start and I'm pretty sure you do, but again, start on an overall for people who don't know, start recommending what you think is good stuff. And don't even waste your time trash talking to people or even talking about the stuff that sucks, because it derails from what you think is good, which is why a lot of independent comics are kicking the shit out of, and I'll basically say this, Marvel, DC, and IDW.
There's another reason as well.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel and DC originated, especially DC, because DC's older. They came from a time when there were hundreds of different comic book houses out there. Now, effectively, there's only two, apart from the independents, but they're really small fry. And it has slowly poisoned the well, I think. Yeah.
Well, are they small fry, though? Because the independent comics... real quick, Goku, real quick. But the independent comics are what I actually read. I'll buy the trades of The Walking Dead. I think Spawn was an independent.
Well, that's IDW.
Yep.
Spawn was Marvel.
No,
Spawn was Image.
Image, yep, it was Image. Sorry, I thought it was
Todd
IDW.
McFarlane started out working on Spider-Man in Marvel, and this is one of those things that there are two things that I think, and I'm going to promote here, and neither one of them are mine. People should watch Batman and Bill by Mark Tyler Nobleman, about the co-creator of Batman. It's very poignant because there are points of how much the comic book companies screw over the people who co-create, especially during that time. And then SF Debris has done a maxi series of stuff called The Rise and Fall of an Empire, which has to do with the comic book industry. And I think people should watch those. Yep. And they're very poignant because they're historical, factual documents with multiple sources laid in. And Mark Tyler Nobleman, I've talked to him on Twitter, very nice guy. He really does stay out of the political spectrum. And Bill Finger's granddaughter, Athena Finger, actually had to fight tooth and nail with Mark Tyler Nobleman to get Bill Finger's name put in Batman and Superman Dawn of Justice. And I'm still waiting for them to start with all the reprints saying Bill Finger and Batman. And she is owed so much fucking money that I think it would take the hand of God for that to ever happen for restitution.
Same with the Kirby estate. But
well, no, and I didn't get. There's also going to throw out that I do read the George R. R. Martin graphic novels, but that's because I'm a Game of Thrones nerd.
Hey,
so I'm not sure who they're printed by.
Hang on. Back to vampires for a second. My husband threw into the chat, vampires do not sparkle.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. And then they turn to dust 5 seconds later.
Vampires only sparkle if you put magnesium in their blood and then set fire to them.
Yes.
Well, no, there is some recent vampires things that are good. John Carpenter's vampires, both of them. I think there's only 2. Interview with the Vampire. I didn't much like the other one. Fucking
Vampires.
Yeah, I like John Carpenter's vampires.
I've never heard of John Carpenter's vampires.
Oh,
actually, I don't know. I don't know if Action Comics has decided to go forward with this, but they were doing something that involved vampires, which is a little closer to the Bram Stoker style, and not the sparkly little.
Not Stalker.
Oh, but
here's an overall general thing that people seem to forget as well. That the modern mythology of vampires, in regards to modern lore within the known world, is often based on the Judeo-Christian belief of how vampires engage with certain things because of the way Bram Stoker wrote vampires, which
he got a lot of
but let me finish Batman. The thing is, he was not really the first person to write about vampires. Nope. And again, in the modern age, Bram Stoker has even acknowledged the work of Sheridan Le Fanu, who wrote Carmilla, who is technically, in modern print, the first lesbian vampire. And that's the thing. A lot of people think of vampires as in regards to the beliefs and mythologies or concernings of the Judeo-Christian religion, when the vampire is actually a very worldwide creature, and every country has their own vampire, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses, which a lot of people do not pay attention to.
Isn't there a book about Sumerian vampire?
Which came up
hey guys, try and go one at a time.
Lord Byron wrote Varney the Vampire, which was a serialization, which appeared in the precursor to Victorian Penny Dreadfuls. And that was about 50, 60 years before Bram Stoker even put pen to paper. So, yeah, you're right. But Stoker and Byron took a lot of what they put into their stories from European folk myth.
Did you know? Real quick, Batman. Did you know? And then Doku, you can go because I cut you off and said everybody, one at a time because it gets jumbled on the stream and nobody can understand any of us. Anyway. But did you know Bram Stoker and Mary Shelley actually hung out together and she made Frankenstein as he fucking wrote?
No.
That's not true. I've heard that a million times. That's not true.
Mary Shelley was she was the back end of the Regency period. Bram Stoker was the back end of the Victorian period. If she ever met him, he would have been in a pram.
Okay, all right. I've heard that on the History Channel and shit, and I thought it was an interesting story. But go ahead.
Bollocks.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask because somebody might know. Wasn't there I don't remember what it was. Isn't there a Sumerian version of essentially what Bram Stoker's Dracula was, but predates it? If I remember correctly, Bram Stoker was essentially just rehashing something that was a lot older as far as mythology goes. If I remember correctly. I could be wrong. So if anybody knows.
Well, I bet you there is some Sumerian text somewhere or Like, what'd they do? Was it like that was ancient times? Was it fucking tablets and shit? But I don't know. I'm sure there's
Whoa,
because there's Japanese vampires, there's Chinese vampires, there's fucking all sorts of different vampires, and they all have different myths to them.
That's what I find so strange is that there's a lot of different I guess you could say mythological recountings of creatures that you could consider to be a vampire, not just from the European style vampire, but just a blood demon or an entity that derives its vitality from absorbing blood from mortal beings, i.e., a vampire. It's not exactly unique just to European culture. It's something that a lot of cultures have in their mythology or their mythos, whatever you want to call it. I find it interesting. That's all I'm trying to say. Either way, I find it very interesting. Vampires are not unique to Europeans, even though that's usually...
and in the British Isles, there isn't actually any real vampire mythology. You're right, there is in Europe, but not in the United Kingdom and the British Isles.
And that's exactly my point. That's what I find so interesting. It's not exactly unique. Werewolves are unique to European mythos, but not vampires.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Native Americans, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, have their own werewolf stories. Twilight actually got that shit kind of correct.
That's a Wendigo. That's a skinwalker.
No, a Wendigo is not a skinwalker. A Wendigo is somebody in the Northwest, in the forests of the Northwest. If they eat human flesh, they turn into a monster. Once they turn into a monster, they don't turn back. A werewolf is dependent on the cycles of the moon. And it turns into a wolf, and then turns from a wolf and back into a human again. Big difference.
All right. I'm not going to argue over small things. So yeah, besides Batman, you gave me money tonight, so I'll concede that.
Mad, hold on a minute. I'm sorry about the tone of voice there, because thinking about it, I did sound a bit condescending there. Didn't mean to.
No, don't apologize. I didn't take it as anything condescending.
Well, that's good then. Just sometimes it comes out that way when I don't mean it to. So.
When was the last time
you come off?
Batman, quit being a dick.
Real quick.
If you quit being a man, I'll quit being a dick.
Let's get back to movies. When was the last good werewolf movie? Like, exactly when? And don't you say fucking Twilight, Sherardy. Don't fucking do it.
It was definitely fucking Twilight.
You know I was just being a cunt, right?
No, you were being a dick.
The last good werewolf movie was definitely Twilight.
American werewolf.
I don't know. It depends on the storytelling and on what mythology. I think for me, and the Underworld series wasn't too bad in regards to werewolves. Shut up.
No.
I'm talking here.
No.
I don't care, child.
Bite me, old man.
The future is now.
But you have to remember, and on a serious note, you have to remember that vampire movies, werewolf movies are far and few between as opposed to vampire or any other specific horror genre type movies. And one of the strongest impressions, at least within the last 50 years, is of course An American Werewolf on London, and that was also for as good as bad or good or as bad as you think it is. People's opinions vary. It stayed very honest with itself by saying, "This is what happened to the character. This is what he went through. and this is what he was going to turn into. And I'd say The Howling is also probably another very good example within the last 50 years.
That's the one I was going to say, Dade. You hit the nail on the head.
The first one. The other ones are questionable.
Nosferatu.
You mean like the marsupial were kangaroos? Yes.
Oh yeah.
If you don't mention Nosferatu.
And
Nosferatu was good.
One can even say wolf.
American Werewolf, but I can't remember the rest of the
name Paris.
Of the damn movie. There we go.
No, that was American Werewolf, and
there was also the sequel, American Werewolf.
Yeah, that sucked.
I liked it, especially the start where the lass is committing suicide. He's bungee jumping. He catches her. Puts her on the ground. He hasn't got his helmet on. When he lets go, he knocks himself out on the Empire State Building, on the statue, the bloody French Blackpool Tower.
So I would for my money, I think I'm going to basically say it as this. For my money, these three movies about werewolves I think are really good. American Werewolf in London, Wolf, and The Howling. Now, as far as actually effectively continually keeping up with whether you guys like the movies or not, I don't give a shit. I think the Lycans in the Underworld series have been portrayed very faithfully and steadily as characters. I'm not saying they're good movies. I would say that the Lycans themselves have been effectively over the series and the movies consistent.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the shortening of lycanthrope. Strangely enough, people who use that tend not to know what that it comes from lycanthrope and lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy.
Yeah, whereas people who actually watch still say werewolves do. It's weird, I know, but you're right. You're right about how the werewolves were done, but the films were terrible.
The films can be terrible all they want, but there's consistency with the characters.
Yeah, I find that one of the things about the films that jarred on me and didn't work, in my estimation, is they tried to take clearly supernatural creatures and turn them into science fiction creatures. That just doesn't work for me.
The Universal monster movies, the reason people refer to those things so often is because they got it right from day one.
Yeah.
They had the mythologies down. They never tried to make it something it wasn't. They basically said Frankenstein was scientific, Dracula and the Wolfman were mythical, and then basically that the mummy was from Egypt.
Yeah.
And Egyptology and everything else. And you can't, and of course, and I'm going to bring in the Invisible Man with Claude Rains because I love that fucking movie, but that was also scientific, and that was also very well done. So these sets of movies were perfectly done from the get-go, and that's why people refer to them as classics, because even if the effects aren't all that great by today's standards, they still stand out.
They highlighted the art of the storyteller.
Exactly.
But I would love to bring the Invisible Man in, but I could never find him.
So essentially what you're saying is, regardless of whether or not the movie was good or not, the mythos is consistent.
In regards to what?
In regards to how you're looking at, a vampire or a werewolf, or again, the mythos of what they are, whether or not the movie is good or not.
Well, that's the point I was making with the Underworld movies. People don't like those movies. It's fine, but you guys asked me, well, what do what are the best werewolf movies and/or characters? And I said, these three movies in modern time, and then when they portrayed the Lycans in the Underworld movies, those characters, whether you like the movies or not, were consistent over the course of the 5 films.
And the thing is, I agree with you, because it's a consistent mythos about what's a werewolf, what's a vampire, or whatever else.
There's only twice I've liked
within the mythos.
There's only twice I've liked vampires when they've been done as science fiction angle. That was the first Blade film, only the first one.
Yep.
And
Blade did a good job with it.
And Daywalkers. That's I forget who it is in that. That's the one.
Wasn't it Waylon Jennings in the first Blade?
Almost everybody.
Chris Christopherson, get out.
Yeah, Chris Christopherson. Sorry, man. Sorry. I should remember that name too.
Quit putting in. This isn't your stream.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
No.
okay. I'll see my way out. See how long
you just hang about in the background there.
Go stand in the corner.
Oh, fuck you, Dade.
What was it called?
You know he wouldn't be in here if he hadn't obeyed his queen.
Your name's Brandy?
No, so her name's RuPaul.
I told you obey your queen and get in here.
Oh,
no,
sorry,
I actually stood from a distance and waited for you guys to get off the political bullshit. The only queen in my life is my daughter, and she serves in the Air Force. Thank you very much.
Cool. No, it wasn't Daywalkers. It was Daybreakers. Ethan Hawke, William Dafoe, Sam Neill, Elizabeth Lucas, who I don't even know who she is, and Michael Dorman.
I don't know what you're referring to, but
it's a vampire film, Daybreakers.
I know I've never seen it, so I have no frame of reference.
Right. It starts off with, and it starts off.
I'll go look it up. I'm just saying I can't help you along the way because I don't know.
Oh yeah. What the hell you call him? Who did the American comedian did the asshole song?
Dennis Leary.
He's in it as well, I believe.
Okay.
That's awesome. I like that song.
Yep, but it's a good film, and it's another one of those very rare examples where they put vampires in a science fiction aspect and it's worked. Because, like I said, generally these things do not work as science fiction.
I don't think Blade was considered science fiction either. They gave a clear origin of his mom being bit.
Yeah, but you had two types of vampires, didn't you? You had the ones who were born as vampires, so obviously not undead, and people who converted because they were bitten, and it was said that it was a genetic thing.
Yeah. That kind of goes more along the medicinal as opposed to the strict scientific, but I feel the vibe you're putting out there.
Mm.
No, I'm gonna read this, Dade, and we don't have to dive into it, but I want to be polite to the chat here. Joshua says, and back to politics. Why are the SJWs trying to take over Hollywood and the gaming industry? My answer would be is it the same answer MC gave me when I asked him the question. They've always controlled it, at least for the last 50 years.
Joshua, quit being a lazy fucker and go watch Razor Fist rant on Hollywood Has Always Been Red.
Oh, that's a good rant.
Kind of no. As you go back, I'd say you go back to the 50s and beforehand, and most especially the big name Hollywood actors, so the ones who were getting money out of the fucking business, would have been rather conservative Republican voters. They would have leaned that way, but now they're almost all to a man and woman. Yeah, leftists.
But it's like anything else. Regardless of what the movie is, regardless of what the story, the comic book, the format, whether it be comic book, traditional novel, or music, nobody's forcing you to watch this, read this, listen to this, like anything. I would always suggest that if you like something with enough passion, tell somebody about it and leave them and be open-minded about it. Yeah. Don't force it down their throat. Just say, hey, I like this for this reason. And the best thing that you can do is admit that, and I've done this several times when somebody has asked me about certain movies. I said, hey, I like this movie because blah, 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 blah. Yes, there are some negatives, and yes, there are some positives to it. You might like it. If you don't, that's okay. But if you can, give it a shot. That is the most mature response that you can give to a person in regards to something, in regards to an opinion, without them feeling overpowered or pressured that they have to do something they don't want to do. Because we all know that
a date or MC rant.
They all, because everybody knows that the second you tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do, they're going to do the exact opposite, which is a waste of your time.
To rant. Did we all get there sooner or later, but I think everybody here is of a stage of maturity where you can freely admit there are quite a few films that you like that might be in your DVD collection that you enjoy watching, but they're utter garbage.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got their guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
Mine is actually Gem and the Holograms.
Oh, Christ. You've gone down in my estimation.
You love me and you know it, Batman.
Yeah, but you still got down in my estimation. You're now only a princess.
I'm still royalty.
Mm. We'll talk. I mean, that's one thing I realised in my late 20s. Because, like most people, you go through especially through your teenage years, you think you've got this wide open mind. You're not. You're very blinkered and opinionated. And if you don't like something, it is utter garbage.
Sugar. Everybody has something that they don't like that's utter garbage.
Yeah, but then you get to a certain point and you realise, entertainment media, music, books, comics, TV, movies, is almost entirely subjective.
I think Oz is home.
Oh, good eye, Spool.
Huh?
I said, good eye, Spool.
Oh,
you said Oz is home.
Yeah.
Have you been peeking behind the curtain again?
Actually, I have been peeking behind the curtain, but the curtain of my window.
You know, Batman, awesome. you bring up a very good point. Everything is subjective. The problem is everybody wants to make everything objective. Yeah,
with quick jump onto the political thing. One of the reasons why they're trying to control, entertainment media is, you control what people watch, you control what people think, you control what people think, you control people.
Way to go, 1984.
Yep.
Actually, right now would be, if I were to make a comparison to dystopian literature, I'd say we're more in the Brave New World context as opposed to 1984.
I think it's a little bit of a mix. I think it's a mix because you have
what Batman said.
Yeah, but you have the pharmaceutical industry on one end, and then you also have the surveillance state, which is 1984 on the other.
That's also very much Brave New World as well.
With the tad bit of Animal Farm.
Brave New World was a utopia, and a glass utopia as well. Because if you've ever read any utopian literature, there's always a hidden subclass who are living in a fucking dystopia to keep the utopia running. In Brave New World, you saw that quite clearly.
Yeah. What was that? Trying to think of what the Metropolis is a good film version of that.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. I've got that on Blu-ray.
George Lucas stole C-3PO from Metropolis.
Well, actually, Ralph McQuarrie was inspired by Maria of Metropolis. There's a difference. But my point is, there is a, I can't remember what the story was, but it was talking about, maybe it was the Time Machine, H.G. Wells' Time Machine, where the guy goes into the future and he sees the Morlocks.
That's the Time Machine, yes.
Yeah. So, and that's another good story of how a subclass keeps the upper class upper class.
Do you know who the ancestors of the Eloi were in the Time Machine?
Oh, thank you. That's the other people I was thinking of.
The ancestors of the Eloi in the Time Machine were the vegans. Because if you notice, the Eloi did not eat meat. And the Morlocks did. The Eloi.
Hey, Soylent Green is people. So that leads us kind of back to the very beginning of this topic of what is there left? Because we've always been out of ideas, but we've always been trying to bring them back in a fresh new perspective for a current generation. I think we've hit a wall. And I think that's why I said things go in cycles, and right now we're in the very PC cycle of things. Again, I thank Christ that South Park is around to make fun of that shit.
You know what my English teacher told me? He said there hasn't been an original story for at least 10,000 years.
He'd probably be very correct.
I mean, it happens more and more now. You get people who they come up with an idea, they work it out, they flesh it out, they write it out, proofread it, eventually get published, both independently of each other. And
I'm leaving now. Bye.
Bye. And they produced an almost identical piece of work.
So,
and it seems to happen with greater frequency these days.
Yeah, well, we've gone quite a while. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. My kids keep yelling anyway, so I can't even talk. So, hey, Dade, you doing anything on your channel? You want to fucking chill it?
I'm not making anything right now. I really just have no motivation to do so. I just really kind of.
I'm not following your channel.
I don't have anything on my channel. I used to have stuff, and I'm one of those people that I don't know if other people do this, but I backed up everything that I put up, and then the time came, I wiped it all out because I had certain fallings out with some people, and I don't talk to them anymore, so I'm not going to republish the work because basically, I don't want that up there and copyright strikes and all this other shit. So I don't know how to make videos right now, and I don't do videos. I would rather come on to a live stream and have a good debate like we had tonight in regards to morals and the ethos, logos, and pathos of things as opposed to the political side, because I don't give a shit about politics. They're all a bunch of one generation trying to take everything they can before they all start dying off, and we're paying the price for it. So I have no channel to promote. If you want to find me on Twitter or Gab, look for Captain Dadepool. That's all you got to do. The same name that is popping up right now or has popped up in the side chat. Just look for basically the icon that you see right here.
And Batman, do you just go on other people's streams or do you run your own shit?
I just go on other people's streams.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And go Dodgers. Fucking 6th year in a row we won the NL West. I'm happy about that. Unhappy about the child screaming at me right now.
But Dodge, you won by default because the other team didn't show up.
Oh, bullshit. It was 5-2. Fuck off, Batman.
Yeah,
on that note.
That's because they got the fucking the grounds workers to fucking play.
Nice. All right, Batman. On that note, good night, good luck, and don't fucking go to France. We're out of here.